the younger generation, the under 25 crowd, believes climate change is a real issue. And their answers were horrible on that. We're going to go to abortion next, but this is also why we've had debates here on this program where I've stated that the younger generation does not tend to go conservative. Is because the conservative party, the principles of the conservative party are not well aligned with what the younger generation favors, the things that they want, whether it's legalization of marijuana, criminal justice reform, abortion, tuition assistance, minimum wage increase. These are all the things that the younger generation are dealing with. And the right are on the opposite side of all of that stuff. And the climate change issue is something I generally do not even bring up when I give a laundry list of what the younger generation is in favor of. But that is yet another issue. And they're on the opposing side of that, which is also probably why Vivek Ramaswamy had stated that he would like to raise the voting right age. He wants to raise the age in which you can vote from 18 to 25, and suggested that you need to either be a first responder, join the military, or be able to pass a civics test before you can vote if you're 18 to 25. Once again, the 18 to 25-year-olds, that's not going to resonate with them either. So I do believe that the Republican Party has a hell of a issue with younger voters. But we're talking about the Republicans, about how they felt about a national abortion ban, a federal abortion ban, basically passing a law that abortion would be banned nationwide. Not a states' right issue, not returning it to the states, but rather a national abortion ban. Mike Pence led the charge, suggesting that he certainly would be running a pro-life administration from the Oval Office. So Mike Pence did not back down on that. I've said before that, in my humble opinion, I do believe most folks on the right prefer a national abortion ban. However, that is not very popular among a lot of folks. So the way it sounds better when you say we're actually just trying to hand it back to the states and go from there. But it's very similar to when the liberals say that they're not trying to take away, all guns. They're just trying to do this or do that. And the pro Second Amendment crowd can see right through it. Like, no, your goal is to take away all guns. You just want to have a stair step to get to that point. Well, the same thing applies with the abortion ban. The goal is a federal abortion ban, period. But it's a stair step process. So you go for states' rights first, get that, then you go to the next one. But nobody's going to admit that. Mike Pence did admit that. Mike Pence did come out and admit that, yeah, if I'm president, I'm going to be a pro-life president from the Oval Office. And, regardless of how you feel about Mike Pence, he was honest. He was honest. So I'll give him credit for that. In the comments real quick, somebody says, no one talked about any real policies that help Americans. I disagree with that. I'll explain why. Lucas, as per the Constitution, abortion is up to the states. Non-enumerated rights belong to the states. Well, we can say that abortion rights belong to the states, but we know that there are politicians that would like to do it federally. Every politician is not looking to just leave it up to the states. And I say this because if you genuinely believe in protecting the sanctity of life, you don't want the unborn to be killed, you're not going to be happy if somebody can go down the street, cross a river, and get it done on the other side in a different state. If you're truly about protecting babies, protecting the life of the unborn, you want to do it everywhere their life is being taken. So the idea that you could have an abortion clinic 20, 30 miles down the road in a different state that's liberal, and the Republican that's 20, 30 miles away is not going to want to do anything about that makes no sense at all. The Constitution and the supreme law of the country. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I'm just letting you know it is what it is. We can talk about the Constitution, but we all know that there have been efforts to subvert the Constitution since this country was in existence. I mean, we know that all men weren't created equal. We know that women couldn't vote. I mean, the Constitution has always been there. And we know people have been getting treated like shit the entire time. That's the reason why the Constitution has so many damn amendments. is because people were trying to go around the Constitution constantly. Abortion is just another case of that. Looking in the comments, Ron, love your handsome. I appreciate you. Appreciate you being. I don't know if the talk is going to act right tonight, but we'll see if we can make it act right. Good evening, American Outlaw.
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Not much at all. Did you catch the debate?
Yeah, I did. I think Vivek won the night overall, but I think on the stage, but I think Trump truly won without even being there.
Well, if you are a Trump supporter, he was going to win no matter what. I mean, you don't. There's nobody on that stage if you truly support Trump that there's nothing they can do. It was impossible for any of them to beat Trump from Jump Street, don't you think? I mean, can you come up with anything if you support Trump that any of those folks could have said that would make them come out on top?
Oh, I think Vivek had a great night. I think that he probably after tonight's performance will make Trump shortlist for VP candidates, and I think he'd be a good member of the team. But Trump, I mean, he's got 77 million views and counting on his interview with Tucker Carlson tonight. I mean, he clearly stole the thunder out of that debate.
Yeah. Well, that was the goal, and I agree with you 100% that Vivek Ramaswamy is not running for president. He's running for a cabinet position, potentially VP. But in regards to you suggesting that Trump won tonight, I would submit to you that that was the plan that was the not the plan, but that was the outcome regardless. There is absolutely nothing that any of those folks on that stage could have said, no matter how beneficial it is to Republicans, that was going to beat Trump. They had their mind made up that Trump is a better politician than those folks several months ago. There's nothing those people can say that's going to win over Trump anyway, right?
Yeah, no, I completely agree, but I think no pun intended here, but I think Trump outfoxed Fox because if you see the way Brett Baer conducted himself tonight during that debate, their intent was to get Trump there on the stage and try to do anything they could to hurt his candidacy, and he outfoxed Fox, and it's
What,
not the
what,
first
what
time.
do you what do you see? What do you see Fox News or even Brett Baer doing that is trying to hurt Trump's candidacy?
Because if you look at the opponents who are more in line with Trump's policies, such as Vivek, the way he handled them tonight and the way he tried to cut off Vivek several times during the debate, he tried to cut Vivek off. Even had towards the end there, during the lightning round, he had a little, comment where he said, "This is the lightning round, not Rolling Thunder," and he singled out Vivek on the stage. And
Yeah.
he's the closest one in line with Trump's policies. So you could just about imagine how that would have went if Trump would have been on the stage.
Yeah, he absolutely, by far, is the closest in line with Trump's policies, up to and including suggesting he would pardon Trump, his stance on the Ukraine versus Putin. In fact, I think just about every other candidate up there, with the maybe a flaky bit on Ron DeSantis, because Ron DeSantis was trying to kind of play both sides, but every one of those other candidates is in favor of sending money and continuing to help the Ukraine.
Yep.
Oddly enough, why is Trump on the other side of all of those candidates, including his own former VP?
Because I think if you look at what's going on in our country right now, most recently the tragic event in Maui, right? If we give $700 to a family, and we've given over $120 billion to Ukraine, which equates to roughly 500,000 per household when you take population into a factor. If we can afford to give that much money to another country, but we can't afford to help out something as tragic as Maui with more than $700 per household when these people are literally sleeping in tents because everything's been scorched around them. It says a lot about where your priorities are. And I think that's why Trump and Vivek are on the other side of that, because they would rather see that money going to help American citizens out and not foreign countries.
Yeah, but here's the issue I have with that. We the Ukraine was just invaded in February of last year, February of 2022. Americans were suffering before that. It's not like we were helping out struggling Americans. Then all of a sudden we started sending money to the Ukraine so people could not get assistance. The folks who are struggling now, did not notice any change in their life between the time we were sending money to the Ukraine and the time we were. If you're struggling now, chances are you were struggling before the Ukraine issue took place. That money didn't, no one in America noticed that money going to the Ukraine.
No, but I think it just says what your priorities are, and it's a smack in the face because in reality, it's the taxpayers who are funding those contributions to Ukraine, and it's the taxpayers who need that assistance in Maui and East Palestine, Ohio. I mean, if you look at two of the most tragic events in recent history under Biden's term, you would probably have to say it's Maui and then East Palestine, Ohio, with that train derailment. And it took him, what, 17 days to reply, and East Palestine took him over a week for Maui, and it wasn't until he was criticized and ridiculed, and then he said no comment when he was asked about the uptick in the death count in Maui with a smile on his face. And then he had a bunch of sly ass goofy comments while he was there in Maui that just was totally not representative of somebody you want, represent your country. I mean, I, I just think his priorities are fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, I get the flag that Biden has taken on Maui, and he's certainly comparing it to his Corvette and his cat and all of this other stuff. I get how it does not look popular, but I don't know if you're going to escape that by, say, going back to Trump, who went to Puerto Rico and he's throwing around toilet paper and things like that and giving out bottles of Trump water. I mean, at the end of the day, when you go to a national disaster, people are always going to find a way to criticize you. When Obama went to Hurricane Sandy, they found a way to do it. Obviously, George Bush and Katrina is a horrible disaster. I mean, there's no way for a president to deal with a national disaster and please everybody. People are always going to find a way to criticize you.
No, I agree, but when you have two coming back to back, you would have think you would have had a lessons learned coming out of the first one about what not to do. And he had two back to back poor performances when the country was looking to him, or different states in the country were looking to him for true leadership. And after what happened in East Palestine, Ohio, he was hard pressed to come from his vacation that he was at a billionaire donor's mansion to even go to Maui to see those people. It wasn't until immense public pressure was put on him that he went. You would have thought he learned his lesson the first time around in East Palestine.
Well, but here's the problem. This is why I say no, how you know what's going to criticize you. First, we're suggesting that Biden only gave them $700, gave them too little. But then when you have somebody like, say, Trump or Biden, that gave $2,000 out in stimulus money or gave people unemployment and gave them extended assistance, people said you gave them too much. And no matter what you do, somebody's going to find a way to criticize you. You give them
Well, I
too
think it's
little, that's not enough for them. You give them too much, well, now you're incentivizing them not to work and do better. There is no
well, I
way to
think
do
that's two
that
different
without
things, though,
somebody
right?
finding
Because
problems with it.
I don't think that's a fair analysis or comparison because during COVID, it was the federal government's policies that dictated the need for that stimulus because of their policies to shut down commerce, right? And so that bad policy was what dictated the need for that funding that was too much and incentivized people to sit on their ass at home. This is a natural disaster that took place, and I don't think the two are on equal comparisons in regards to
No,
what
we
people.
can, yeah, we can debate whether they're on equal footing or not, but I'm just simply saying, no matter what you do, your detractors are going to find a way to criticize you. There's nothing Biden could have done. Even if Biden sat down with every Republican and said, "What should I do?" and did it, you would probably have MAGA saying you listened to a bunch of rhinos and did the wrong shit. I mean, there's just no way to do that.
No, I get what you're saying, and I agree. When you have the type
Yeah.
of polarization that we have in our country right now and the type of division, you're always going to have criticism coming from the other side, no matter what you do. But there are legitimate concerns about Biden that I think that you would have to either be willfully ignorant or completely disingenuous to deny that this man is a horrible, horrible representation. If this is the best we've got to offer, and I know people on the other side can say the same thing about Donald Trump, and I get that. But my point is this man even like capable? Like
So
it's
let
almost
me,
like the
so let
lights
me,
are on, but nobody's home.
let's take everything you said, even from a liberal side of the aisle. I'm just as opposed to debating any of that. I'll concede that to you, and let's just say Biden is as bad as you're saying. So I have to ask you this: if Biden is as bad as you're saying, doesn't know where the hell he's at, he's running the country into the ground, why wouldn't the Republicans seize on the opportunity that we have a very unfavorable candidate and put somebody else up that is in less turmoil? Why make it a choice between two evils and put forth your worst candidate as well? Why
I,
not put forth somebody who is less divisive because you have us by the short and curlies right now? Why send Trump up?
yeah. So what I think it is, I think it's a bit of a few things, right? So I think to some degree, it's people know what they're getting out of Trump. They know that he was the first president in their lifetime. Rather, there's going to be people on your side of the aisle who don't agree with the commitments he fulfilled. But on our side of the aisle, he was the first president in our lifetime who fulfilled
But it's more
campaign
than that,
promises.
though. But it's more than just getting somebody. You know what you. I agree. You know what you're getting out of Trump. But the guy, even MAGA, has stated that Trump had a hard time getting as much as he could accomplish because the liberals never gave him a chance since day one. Now, in addition to liberals coming after him, he got a host of Republicans that don't like him. Why would you put somebody up that's going to be handicapped so bad by so many court cases and indictments when you got Vivek Ramaswamy or Ron DeSantis or somebody that could give you very similar policies to Trump? They're younger, they got 8 years instead of 4. Why would you send up the most divisive guy you have?
Yeah, no, I understand that. That's a legitimate question, but the other part outside of knowing Trump, that's why I said it's multifaceted. A lot of people are on a revenge tour, and they're going to stick with Trump regardless. They want to see this thing through, and as divisive as it is, and as unproductive as it may seem, that's just how they feel at their core. I don't. That's not my angle. My angle was simply I agreed with his policies, and he proved that he can deliver. And for that reason, he's still got my
So
support.
in regards to you made 2 points. First of all, you said some folks are supporting Trump because they're on a revenge tour, which to me is just as bad as anything Biden has done. It is that you're voting for a guy strictly because you want revenge. Talk about voting based on emotion. But take into consideration your point where you like Trump's policies. Do you not think you couldn't get most of Trump's policies out of some of those other candidates?
Yeah, I absolutely. Up to this point, Vivek has been by far the shining candidate, and I've been following his campaign very closely. He doesn't shy away from answering questions directly. He was challenged. Some conservatives or some, I would say, the more far right side of my aisle, they think that he's some sort of psyop plant, meant to knock Trump off of his pedestal and and they point to things like the fact that he got Paul Soros, which is George Soros' deceased brothers. He was one of hundreds that got a scholarship program, which he was in. He was a first generation of an immigrant family, and he didn't have a lot of options. He would have been stupid not to take that opportunity. And he addressed that question directly when he was asked it in Iowa recently. He told him, yeah, I took it. I have absolutely, then you have other people on the far right who feel like he might be too close to the World Economic Forum because he was on their list of young, inspirational Americans. And he asked and actually sued the World Economic Forum for not taking him off of that list. And he answers these types of questions that, put the conspiracy theorists on my side of the aisle's worries to rest. He answers them directly, and he's actually got receipts to back up what he's saying. So I think he's a shining star. I think he's got a bright future. And I don't know how this whole thing's going to play out. I mean, it could go either way. There's a lot of time. And after tonight, I expect to see him surge even further in the polls. I expect to see him unseat Ron DeSantis in second place and close the gap some on President Trump. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out over the
Yeah,
next.
I expect Trump to potentially announce Ramaswamy as a running mate. I could see that. I mean, Ramaswamy is obviously not going to beat Trump for the nomination, but it would not surprise me if Trump started speaking favorably of Ramaswamy as well. But I do got to move it on.
Yeah,
Appreciate you coming in, man.
absolutely. Have a good night.
Good talk. You too. It's always a pleasure. Looking in the comments, FAB has proven that Trump was better at literally everything. Well, it depends on what side of the aisle you're in. By the way, folks, Tap the screen, get your boy up to 10,000 likes. You know what I always say, the program is and forever will remain MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. Tap the screen, get your boy likes up. I do appreciate you folks tuning in. We're obviously talking about the Republican National Convention, talking about winners and losers. I do agree with my last call, and I'll go right back to the box. I do believe that if you are a strong Trump supporter, Vivek Ramaswamy was overwhelmingly the winner because his policies are essentially the same as Trump. He essentially is backing Trump up on all. Like when they asked the question, who would commit to supporting whoever the eventual Republican nominee is. Now we know, all of us know, that that's likely to be Trump. Ramaswamy damn near wanted to jump up and down and scream, I will. Whereas, obviously Asa Hutchinson said he would not if it's Trump, basically, and so did Chris Christie. Even Ron DeSantis and some of them were slow to raise their hand up, but Vivek was all over it. Same thing about him suggesting that if Trump is, or better yet, if Vivek becomes the president, he's already stated he would pardon Trump. I mean, everything he was saying was pro-Trump. Just like I mentioned with the last caller, the Ukraine is another issue where everyone on stage, with the somewhat flaky exception of Ron DeSantis and definitely Vivek Ramaswamy, stated that they would not continue helping the Ukraine. Ron DeSantis was a bit flaky on him. Ron DeSantis is trying to play both parts. He's trying to be a traditional Republican and maintain the MAGA following simultaneously. Ramaswamy is running behind Trump, period. That's all he's focused on, is making sure Trump's policies continue. So it became an interesting debate, but I certainly do believe that if you are MAGA, if you do favor Trump, Ramaswamy overwhelmingly won that debate in your eyes. Continuing to move on, let's see if we can make it happen with the one and only, the rainy. Let me know. Hopefully, the TikTok is just flaky as hell with me tonight. Good evening, Kane. Did you see the debate?
I did. I watched parts of it. I didn't watch it all, but the parts that I did catch, I thought Nikki Haley did a beautiful job. I thought she was very, very strong. It was actually very shocking. I was shocked that Ron DeSantis was the usual boring. He was boring. I didn't see any flash moments. Maybe I missed them. But what did you see, Tim?
Well, first of all, with Ron DeSantis, as I stated, Ron DeSantis is trying to play to two audiences: the traditional Republicans, which MAGA now refers to as rhinos and never Trumpers, and he's also trying to play to MAGA. So he's trying to play both sides of the fence, and that is a very difficult feat to accomplish. But that is what Ron DeSantis is trying to do. Nikki Haley was strong. She threw some bombs out there. So did Mike Pence, by the way. Mike Pence attacked the hell out of Ramaswamy. But the audience, overwhelmingly MAGA, are not going to really credit Nikki Haley for any of that shit.
Well, yeah, I could agree. I think Vivek, I don't know, I feel like he was very disingenuous. I mean, just like they heckled him on, the skinny kid with a weird middle name, like they did, like Obama did. I thought it's like, okay, you're trying too hard. You're just trying too hard. So I saw nothing authentic about this guy at all, to be honest. I saw nothing about him that made me like,
Well,
oh, but again, I know he's MAGA, and I know probably MAGA loves it. I think MAGA loves it. So you're
yep.
right in that vein. And I think Trump actually won't pick him. I think he'll pick Tulsi Gabbard, and I think that'll be a winning ticket beyond belief, in my opinion.
Tulsi, you think Trump would go with Tulsi Gabbard over Vivek Ramaswamy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. She's a
I need to,
beast.
that's an
He wants
interesting.
to win.
I'll
He
say this.
wants to win.
That ain't gonna matter. I'll say this though. I have not heard enough from Tulsi Gabbard to see where she stands on Trump's policies, if she has anything that she differs from him at all on. Vivek Ramaswamy is like the Lindsey Graham, the Ted Cruz of 2016. They are following behind. Vivek Ramaswamy is following behind Trump on his coattails like nothing else. I'd have to hear Tulsi Gabbard and see, because she used to be a Democrat.
So I'd
And
have
I
to hear
think that's
more
what
what
the
she has
appeal
to
is
say.
going to be. I think that's what the appeal would be. The Republicans really like her and they really respect her. And I'll say this because I know you got other callers. I think Trump will have a hard time getting the evangelical vote with Vivek because he's a Hindu, and you know how they are in the Christian area.
Damn.
I'm just saying, these other they don't play with these other types of gods. And also, he's a vegan, so I just don't see the burly, Republicans voted for a vegan. I just don't see it. But that was it. I'll talk to you soon, my love.
I want, I want,
Oh,
I want to kind of agree with you on the evangelicals, but the fact is, the evangelicals went with Trump, and he's not a devoted Christian by any means.
yeah, but he's Christian. I mean, this
Yeah.
guy does the red dot, does the ceremony, you know what I mean? So that wouldn't roll. They would see this as a Catholic in the White House, which is kind of hard for a lot of people when JFK was a Catholic, right? We've only had a handful of Catholics. Everybody else has to be Christian somehow, right? So anyway, I just think it would be hard sell in my opinion. I think Trump would not get the evangelicals the way that he would want. If he went with Tulsi, I think they would have it.
Wow. So at the end of the day, for what you've seen so far, we know what we got in Biden. Do you think Biden can actually pull this off in 2024?
Absolutely. And you know why? It's one of those things. He can run literally from the basement again. We hate Trump. That's the problem. Joe Biden is gonna win by default again. That is what the reality is. If you hate Donald Trump, which the majority of the country does, Joe Biden's the default fucking winner. And it ain't because nobody really, actually, I support Joe Biden. I shouldn't say that. Joe Biden's fucking boring. It's not like he's like Obama, some inspiring candidate.
So in other words, there really is no solid love for Biden that's going to make him win. It is the hatred of Trump that is going to give Biden an easy victory.
Absolutely. Hands down, just like it did the first time. We hate Donald Trump. The man's got 91 felonies. And they asked the question, would you still support him if he was in jail? Like, and they all raised their hand. I'm like, who are you people? All
Yeah.
of them.
Well,
Even
they
my
believe
kids,
they
they
believe that.
all rose their hand.
Well, they believe that Trump is being wrongfully charged. That's why they're saying they'll run with him even if he's incarcerated because they believe the incarceration is bullshit.
Yeah, but they don't believe that. They know they have to say it for their crazy ass psycho fans. But they don't believe that. Those guys are saying Chris Christie, Nikki Haley, those guys don't believe he's unfairly like this was unjust. Maybe the shit in New York, but January 6th, they know what he did. I mean, nobody's that silly. But anyway, like I said, I know you got callers, darling. It was good to talk to you.
Absolutely a pleasure. Always a good conversation. All right. And I will say,
folks, one of the things that, because we talk about Mike Pence, and listen, there's no love for my beloved MAGA for Mike Pence. Obviously, because of what happened on January 6th, a lot of MAGA believe that Mike Pence is a rhino or, working with the liberals or whatever you want to say, fill in the blank. But believe it or not, everyone on that stage, except for Vivek Ramaswamy, stated that what Mike Pence did on January 6th was the right thing to do. Every single Republican contender on that stage, with the exception of Vivek Ramaswamy, stated that Mike Pence made the right decision on January 6th. That says a lot because I won't say overwhelming because I don't know what percentage of the Republican Party is MAGA, but it's a large percentage. But obviously MAGA believes that Mike Pence made the wrong decision on January 6th. But every other Republican tender, with the exception of Vivek Ramaswamy, stated that on January 6th, Mike Pence did the right thing. Ron DeSantis attempted, once again, trying to play to both audiences, attempted to dodge the question, but Brett Baer and Lisa, whatever her name is, they held him to it and forced him to come out and state how he felt. And he ultimately also agreed that Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th. That says something, folks, because there's a hell of a lot of people that think Trump will not get convicted because there's a Republican going to be on every jury. There's a lot of Republicans that believe he did the wrong thing too. I get that folks want to make this out to be liberals against Trump. There's a lot of Republicans on the other side of Trump. All right, going back to the box. Real quick in the comments, Pierre Bordeaux says, Democrats are killing America from the inside. If Trump got elected tomorrow, within 6 months, he would be talking about how great the country is doing. Yeah, Zion. Appreciate the hat and mustache. America's not being killed from the inside. Inflation sucks. We're paying way more at the pump than we need to be paying and we want to be paying. Inflation is just driving folks. It's hurting us. But America's not being killed from the inside. Where the hell is that coming from? We have went through far more tougher times than we're going through now. That's what I'm talking about when I refer to as Armageddon politics. We're not doing that freaking bad. We'll keep it moving. Z-Pack, welcome to...
Hopefully, you guys see it's 450. You guys tap the screen, get your boy up to 20,000 likes. 450 of you in here or so like that. Appreciate you guys rolling with your boy on YouTube as well. Did you catch the Republican National Convention, Z-Pack?
I did. Yes, I absolutely did.
What you think?
Um,
Who won?
I agree with Randy. Nikki Haley was outstanding tonight. What she did to Vivek, who I think is extremely dangerous. When I saw
How so? Wait. Yeah, she really tore Vivek a new one. But how do you said you believe he's dangerous? Explain.
his lack of understanding of foreign policy, his lack of um, just his bowing down to Vladimir Putin while getting absolutely, you know, shit on by all the other candidates when he said basically that he was simping for Putin, not in those words, but that's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
Um, I thought that was like
I,
disgraceful.
I don't. But let me interrupt to say I don't believe Vivek is bowing to Putin. I believe he's bowing to Trump, and because Trump favors Putin, I think Vivek is taking that route
Well,
simply if Trump spoke tomorrow and started criticizing Putin, I bet Vivek's stance on Putin would change as well.
yeah, I mean he's definitely trying to he has an audience for one. Like you know,
Yeah.
he's trying to be his VP. Um, but you know, Chris Christie, I mean, you saw him tonight get heckled by that crowd, and he gets heckled by the crowd
But
because,
didn't you expect that? Didn't
oh
you
yeah,
expect? Chris Christie is heavily critical of Trump. You know that crowd is hardcore Trump supporters. They, as
right.
as Trump himself stated, people don't like to hear bad things about me. Didn't you expect him to get booed?
Yeah, of course I did. But I just think it's funny that you have a guy with 91 indictments and you're gonna boo Chris Christie and not the guy with 91 indictments. Whether or not you think the indictments are correct or not, tomorrow Donald Trump is getting his mugshot taken at the Fulton County Jail. He's going to be fingerprinted,
Yeah,
and that is just the reality of the situation. If he gets convicted, the fact that a bunch of people there, and they're not fake indictments, believe me. There's a lot of people in the comments that seem to think they're fake.
yeah.
They're certainly not fake. Um, Mike Pence tonight was also very stern with his um,
Yeah,
sticking up.
Mike Pence, he's been so docile through since January 6th. Yeah, he kind of hit hard tonight. He did take a few pretty good swings at Ramaswamy. He was hitting.
He took a couple good shots at Rom, who
Yeah,
and honestly, Vivek reminds me, and I don't know if anybody else looked at this, but Vivek reminds me of Donald Trump in 2016. Um,
how
he
so?
he's like this outsider that is like that's kind of like towing this MAGA line, right? And you see a lot of people on this app in particular in these lives who have a lot of the same viewpoints as he does. Um, I think that while he's a long shot, it's one of those things where you look at this guy and you go, "Holy crap! What if the MAGA world like clings to this guy, and then all of a sudden he becomes the front runner?" And I get that he's no shot, and I'm 100% there, but that MAGA cult is so weird and they're so strange that like it is entirely possible. I mean, and again, I want to preface it by saying I think he's a long shot, but after what happened in 2016, I literally have no idea anymore.
Okay,
Um,
let me say this. I disagree with you suggesting that Vivek is similar to Trump in 2016. And here's what I mean. In 2016, the reason people like Trump is because he came at things from a bold, outside, as you said, an outsider. He was saying things that people were not used to hearing politicians say about waking us up for corruption and things like that in Washington D.C. The reason I don't believe Vivek sounds like Trump in 2016 is because Vivek ain't saying nothing new. He's repeating Trump's greatest hits. When Trump was doing it, it was new music.
mhm.
What Vivek is doing is a remix.
Does
He's sampling from Trump's album and playing the same shit.
doesn't it make you weird? Doesn't it kind of though? I don't know. Like everybody loves the not a politician guy, right? Like, oh, I'm not a politician. I'm not a member of the establishment.
I
Oh,
don't. I don't.
no,
You're
no, I
right.
know. But I'm
Yeah, go
saying
ahead.
that people tend to gravitate toward that specifically on the right because they think that all politicians are, you know, that someone with no experience is going to be better.
Right.
And that's what we
Right.
saw in 2016. And that's
But they
kind of,
didn't like. But they didn't like Obama. Obama wasn't a typical politician when he became
yeah, but
president.
he was in politics though, right? He was a senator. I'm talking about like a total outsider viewpoint. But again, as I said, I would just want to preface, I think that Vivek's take on Ukraine was horrid. And to anybody on this app who I've heard say the exact same talking points, you got checked tonight by Republicans and especially Nikki Haley. Nikki
Yeah.
Haley served you and said, no, you are wrong. That is not what happened. And Pence did the same thing, and so did Christie, I believe, but I don't remember. But
You know something? When we talk about Mike Pence and Mike Pence coming out a little bit harder than we would have expected, Chris Christie was a little bit softer. I expected to get a lot more bombs out of Chris Christie.
well, Chris Christie's there to annoy Trump, right? He's there to make Trump really angry and go on Truth Social. And you saw on Truth Social tonight, Donald Trump sent out a truth saying that he never said that um, that Pence or never told Pence to throw away the votes, which is now essentially intimidating a witness again on True Social. This is a guy who's going to, is a witness against him. So he could actually get in trouble for literally saying that tonight, what he said.
Wow.
It's unbelievable what this guy does. And he did it earlier tonight with Fannie Willis again, where he sent out a True Social, it was a re-truth of somebody saying that they have to go after Fannie Willis. Like she has to be like held accountable or something. And this is the kind of stuff that he's going to get in trouble for witness
I don't.
intimidation.
Yeah, if it's one thing I will say, because people talk about a two-tier justice system while claiming that Trump is being treated unfairly. I'll tell you right off the bat, any average citizen would have been held in contempt if
Right.
they were criticizing judges and doing all that kind of shit that
Right.
Trump
Well,
is doing on a
and that's the
national
thing.
scale.
It's a cult because what happens is they say that it's a two-tier justice system, but they don't realize that Trump is literally a two-tier justice system because anybody else would be in extreme
Yeah,
trouble
yeah,
for
you would
doing
be in
what
trouble.
he's
Yeah.
doing. And I know you have other callers, and I don't want to take up a lot of your time, but the thing is, I just think that what you saw tonight was a continuation, especially with that crowd, of the behavior of Donald Trump and what he has done to America. He has succeeded in dividing the GOP and also America. He has done both. Um, and people say Dems are destroying the country in the comments and all this stuff. No, you don't understand. Donald Trump, if he gets in with his Agenda 47, it is an autocracy. That is what he wants. And if you are simping for Putin after he did what he did today, still,
Mm.
you are, in fact, an authoritarian. You're not a patriot,
But
you're
let
a
me but let me
nationalist.
say this. Let me say this, and I'm never going to be one to defend Vladimir Putin, but the guy he took out was clearly trying to start a coup. I mean, if you tried to do that in the United States, I mean, look at what we're trying to do to Trump, suggesting he started a coup. I mean, if you start a coup, you don't expect to live a life of freedom and happiness, do you?
No, but and the crazy part is, what makes me angry is you have people on this app in particular who are simping for Putin and defending his every move in Ukraine. You're supporting a man who just got rid of his political opponent today. And make no mistake about
I
it, he's
don't,
behind it.
I don't, but see, like I said, I'm not trying to defend Putin because I think Putin is a madman. But taking out the head of the Wagner group that was literally trying to divide the country, to me, that ain't no different than taking out the head of the Confederacy. I mean, he was trying to break the nation in half. The
Right,
fact that he wasn't at least in prison already is a surprise.
right. But what Putin is, though, is he is a former KGB guy. So what he does is anybody who goes against him, he's going to take care of. And also, and like they said tonight, I think it was Mike Pence who said it. He said that, to Vivek, you clearly don't understand Vladimir Putin because he has said multiple times that he wants to return Russia to the USSR. So, and again, I will say this with my whole chest, and I'll let you go. But
Hey,
there is a term that I call Pino, right? It's a patriot in name only. You are simply
mm,
not a patriot
wow.
if you support Donald Trump, because Donald Trump wanted to throw out the Constitution, like Chris Christie said tonight. If you support that, you support an autocracy. You do not stand for the United States of America, and that's as simple as it gets. And if you can't accept that, you are in fact in the cult. So understand the Kool-Aid from Jim Jones is going to have a price with Donald Trump because he charges you for everything.
Yeah, a patriot in name only. Now that's some deep shit. All right, Z-Pack,
Yep.
appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
All right, now
I want to say this, what I was trying to tell the last caller, and also we'll go straight back to the box. But like I've said several times, I'm certainly not a fan of Vladimir Putin. However, I will say this: Vladimir Putin, for all of his evils, is not doing anything that America would not do. Here's two things that we're criticizing him for. Number one, the invasion of the Ukraine. The Ukraine is starting to get very close to partnering with NATO. In fact, they've already asked, it is NATO that has rejected the Ukraine from joining. Now, imagine if Canada or Mexico or, say, the Bahamas tried to partner with the Soviet Union. Remember the Cuban Missile Crisis, very similar event, where President Kennedy was literally willing to go to war with Russia because they were trying to put a base and missiles on the island of Cuba. We would not want our adversaries that close to us either. Remember, the Ukraine borders Russia. We would not tolerate an adversary bordering our nation. We would go to war with anybody. If Canada was partnering with the Soviet Union, we would be damn near willing to invade Canada the same way Putin is invading the Ukraine. So even though I'm not defending Ukraine, I am going to point out that this is a matter of do as I say, not as I do, because we're telling Vladimir Putin he is wrong, knowing we would do the same thing. Also, in regards to taking out the head of the Wagner group. Once again, if you try to derail the United States, you're marching through the American mainland with hundreds of soldiers all armed and you have military vehicles, suggesting that you are about to go to Washington and take out the leadership, we would kill you too, period. And it probably wouldn't be 2 months later, like what happened with the head of the Wagner group. I just want to point that out. I'm not defending Putin, but I don't see where he's done anything on these two issues that America probably would not do the same. We might word it differently. We might taint it so it doesn't look like it's really evil, like we did in Iraq or something, to make it sound better. But we would probably do most of the same shit if one of our neighbors tried to join the Soviet Union, like with the Ukraine trying to join NATO. I mean, it is what it is. Do as I say, not as I do. Looking in the comments, I disagree with your premises respectfully. Pharaoh, I'd love to have you in the box. You can tell your boy what you disagree with. As always, what I say, it's about free speech. I do not block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. So if you disagree with the host, let me know. I like to hear that. I will challenge you on your opinion, but I won't censor or limit your time in any way simply because we have a disagreement. But I strongly believe that we would go to war with Mexico or Canada if they tried to join the Soviet Union. We would not tolerate that. We would either go to war with them or we would be deeply involved in their politics, trying to make sure we put a pro-Western, pro-United States leader in their country. If Trudeau started siding with the Soviet Union, something might happen mysteriously to Trudeau at the hands of the United States. This is the part, one of the few times where I will hold up that Trump was right hat. When Trump told, I believe it was Bill O'Reilly during an interview, when he was speaking favorably of Putin, and Bill O'Reilly asked him, why are you siding with a dictator? Why, that does all this stuff. And Trump said, so do we. So do we. And that's a fact. We do a lot of bad shit. We just don't cop to it. Trump was right about that. All right, looking in the comment section. Mysteriously, Max Williams. That's what we did with Iran in the 70s. You're correct. Hamid Karzai, leader of Afghanistan during our time there. He's another U.S. plant. We absolutely do that stuff. You don't think we had something to do with Gaddafi being removed from power? Obviously, Saddam Hussein was only removed from power because of us. We do this stuff all the time. Some would even argue that's why the Clintons, or better yet, Russia, supposedly, you hear Hillary Clinton talking about Russia interfere with the election and try to make Trump win. Some would argue that the reason the Russians got involved in our election is because the Clintons, during their time, got involved in the Russian election. Bill Clinton used the power of the United States to interfere with the Russian election, trying to prevent Putin from coming to power. We do a lot of shit. Just understand that. So Trump is right about that. He just wasn't supposed to say it. He is correct about that. He just was not supposed to tell people that. We'll keep it. Oh, excuse me. Oh, man. For the great.
All right, keeping it moving. Putin's just a bad actor. Yeah, but he's not the only one. For the great,
What's up, HL? How you doing, my man?
not much at all. Did you catch the debate?
Yeah, I did. I think
Who won?
Nikki Haley won, but
Wow.
I think the guy that's been the trump card, no pun intended, the whole time for me has been Mike Pence. You know, I might be partial because I'm here in Indianapolis, but that man worked closely with that guy. I can't believe that January 6th was the first time he was asked to be compromised.
It wasn't. I'm sure it wasn't. And in fact, Mike Pence even stated that he tried his damnedest to meet Trump's request on January 6th. He was just told by people he trusted that if you do this, you could end up in jail. He was going to do that also.
And I think Pence been talking from the beginning. You know, I just been coming in lives once I got my followers up, but I've always believed, you know, if it's organized crime, that's kind of where I feel with this RICO. It's a different crime, but the organization part is there, and what takes down every RICO is the man next to the man. So,
Yep.
so
Yep.
y'all better watch Pence. I think he got still some
You
more.
believe Pence is a snitch.
Yeah, I think he's been one. You know, I
Yep.
live in a city where I see a lot of syndicates or whatever they want to label them come down. And, you know, I got a little pass. I know people in the hood, and it's always the guy next to the man. He
You
always
know,
knows
when you
everything.
and you are correct. It generally is the guy next to the man. And I'll tell you another guy next to the man that's probably going to end up snitching is Rudolph Giuliani. At this
Exactly.
point, Trump has made it clear, I'm not going to rescue you. Now, when you look at what happened in Fulton County, Georgia, for instance, all of those people that got tried, Trump is not paying all of those folks' legal bills. MAGA doesn't give a damn if Sidney Powell or Rudolph Giuliani goes to prison. So it's up to them people to do what's in their own best interest. Nobody, Trump could raise millions of dollars or get plenty of lawyers to help him for free. Rudolph Giuliani, Sidney Powell, and the rest of them, they on their own. They can't get all of that shit. So it's going to be up to them to decide, do I just take this rap, which in cases like Rudolph Giuliani could be for the rest of his damn life, or do I work for the feds and help them get who they really want?
Well, you know, it was a saying back in the day that, you know, criminals took care of criminals. You know, when your man went down, you put money on his books or whatever the case may be. You know, January 6th, if that was in the name of MAGA and you represent MAGA, I don't know the numbers. You know, I'm sure some smarter people than me on here, but how many court dates his representatives are showing up to? How many, you know, how many GoFundMe's are they doing in their name because, you know, they're patriots or whatever the case may be? You know, he's doing something for Giuliani. You feel me? If I guess you got to be Giuliani to get the MAGA support from Trump.
I don't even know if they doing nothing for Giuliani, but one of the things I see it definitely Trump should have done is given free legal assistance to all of the January 6th protesters that come. I mean, he could have
Exactly.
easily found a few patriotic or right wing law firms that would have handled those cases pro bono. He didn't even try to help them out at all, other than to say, well, if I get reelected, I might consider pardoning you guys. But they're
Yeah.
sitting in jail now. They need help right now. They don't need to wait till November of next year. They need help now. He could have easily did that
But
and just
what's
left those folks hanging.
But what's ironic about what you just said, and I just kind of got it and took it back to the debate, was you said, you know, he could just simply say, you know, I'll pardon him. Everybody on that stage, but a few said that's exactly what they would do to Trump. So where's the
No,
fairness
no,
in
no, no,
that?
no, no. I disagree with that. We know Chris Christie and Asa Hutchinson is not going to pardon Trump, but I haven't even. I mean, has even Ron DeSantis has he definitively stated he would pardon Trump?
No, that's my point. They didn't say
Oh,
one way or the other. You see what I'm saying? So they left that gate open just like Trump did, saying by you know, if I get elected, I'll pardon you. So if you're not elected, then I don't have your support. You know, that's how I took that comment anyway.
yeah, but think about it this way though. The people on that stage, if they pardon Trump, they're doing it because they believe that he's innocent. The folks on January 6th, they were true blue MAGA Trump supporters. Trump already has their support. He shouldn't have to think about whether he want to help them or not. They were only there in the Capitol building in supporting him. They should have had his support the moment they got arrested.
Yeah, and I think when people say code or whatever, they still have his support. You know, I don't like calling people and labeling people, but you know, if it quacks like a duck, it's usually a duck. You know what I mean? So, um, you know, I think tonight what I heard was, yeah, Trump. I think those numbers are not really reflecting on what the GOP is. You know, there was boos against Christie, of course, but you see
Yeah.
when they let him talk, it seemed like just as much as
Yeah.
arousal as he got when he was talking the truth. And I think him and maybe two or three others up there are really fighting for what the GOP is. You know, nothing lasts forever. That's evolution. So this is the GOP's bomb ball. This is their Doug Flutie. So if it don't happen, yeah, it may be MAGA from here on
But
out.
but let's be clear. Do you see any of those 7 or 8 folks having a realistic chance of getting the nomination over Trump?
Um, I don't know. Like I said, Trump wasn't Trump
If
until he
so,
made
who?
something happen.
Give me the one. If there is a shadow of a chance, give me the one of them that would have the best chance of getting the nomination over Trump.
I think surprisingly, and people gonna look at me crazy, Mike Pence is definitely the Trump card.
Are
I,
you kidding me?
I'm not
Mike
kidding you.
Pence?
I'm not kidding you, man. I mean, he you know, he's what the GOP gonna need. It's gonna be someone like him, man. Vivek, a little too young, a
No.
little too wild. And I hear you, brother. Hey, I said nobody's gonna believe what I said, but I'm
I
just telling
agree.
you, man. I'm just telling you, man. That dude, he know deals that probably you can't even touch him on. You see what I'm saying? And you know, and I kind of believe both sides on what's this and that because the government is deep. I don't know about no deep states and Star Trek and all that, but yeah, they do a lot of stuff. And if that
But Mike,
man,
you know something in defense of your statement about Mike Pence's knowledge, he was the one that stated during that debate, I'm the only true, or what did he say? I'm the truest conservative on the stage, or something like that. And
exactly,
that is true. That is
yeah,
when you think about what a traditional conservative is, Mike Pence checks off more boxes than anybody else on that stage. It just
and
happens to be he's running during a time when nobody really gives a damn about a true blue conservative. They're looking for MAGA, and but he talking about like a Reagan conservative. Yeah, he probably checks off
and
more
that's
boxes than anybody.
and I think that's really HL what saves the GOP. Because at the end of the day, you're going to save your own. You know, Trump was a nice fad, you know, just like bell bottoms and afros. But, you know, as things change, people want something different, you know what I'm saying? And
I
they
don't
want
think
what they
we're there
used
yet,
to.
though.
No, and
I,
it
I
may not
agree with
be.
you, but I don't think we're there yet. I don't think the fad is over with yet.
You know, and it may not be. But, you know, when you get more information, I would hope people that the sensible and theological things would change. I don't know what's going to happen to Trump. But you would think, you know, all this pump faking he's doing, in my opinion, is that, you know, when some of this truths come out and some of these people turn against him, like you always say, these are people that he hired. These are Republicans. These are not, yeah, the DOJ or whatever. You can say it's Biden, but there's no Democratic, you know,
Right,
witnesses. I
right,
mean, how you
right.
explain that? I'm all for a good theory and a conspiracy theory, you know what I mean? But how you explain that? You
Yeah.
can't
I
you can't
don't. Yeah,
square
you
that.
know, the thing about it is the only way Trump walks away innocent is that you have to show up to court with your mind already made up. Because yeah, there's too many folks that Trump gave high levels of credibility to that are now testifying against him. It's one of those deals that I don't care who the person is. The moment they speak negatively of Trump, they must be a traitor or or a rhino. And that doesn't make any sense because yeah, it's not all liberals by any stretch of the imagination saying that Trump is a criminal. It's a lot of Republicans doing it.
Yeah, and that's why I put Pence out there because, like I started with, you know, I keep the same energy. The guy next to the guy, he know how it goes. And if he did manipulate some things, guess what he did? He's either going to be a better criminal or he's going to turn states and get his little deal.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. All right, further great. I think we certainly came around to a total agreement at the end there. Appreciate you coming
Hey,
on, man.
hey, HL, I got two things and then I'm out, brother.
Let me hear it.
First thing is, I don't know any president that owns gas stations, Walmarts, Amazons, or anything else. I say that to say that I'm 45, so when I started driving, gas was 98 cents a gallon. So I guess what I'm saying is gas moves up no matter what the president is, because we're in a capitalistic society. That's just what it is. You know, whatever. Second, man, this is a PSA, man. HL got one of the best shows on that I like on TikTok. Leave this man
Appreciate
alone.
that.
Quit reporting the people in the box, because you learn more when you let people talk. That's real.
Much
So that's
love. I
all I
definitely
got.
appreciate
That's
that.
all I
Appreciate
got,
that
brother.
plug. All right. Thanks for that plug, man. All right, looking at comments. And I will say this. Now, he was alluding to the notion that fuel prices are going to go up no matter what over the course of time. And there's some validity to that. Inflation happens, but I will just say this. I'm a strong believer that whether your team is winning or losing, if you're the coach of the team, you take responsibility for that.
Doesn't matter if your team is losing because a player got sick or you actually recruited a shitty player. At the end of the day, a win is a win, a loss is a loss. And under the Biden administration, in terms of fuel prices, his team is losing. Now, we can argue, well, it's OPEC or it's price gouging or it's something this or that, but it's happening under his watch. I get the notion that it may be something out of his control. I'm not disagreeing with that. But let's just be real. If prices were going down significantly under Biden, and it was something that was totally out of his control, but the prices were dropping, he would be taking credit for it. We all know that. We all know he would be taking credit, even if it had nothing to do with him. That is why I'm suggesting that when you are the coach of a team, you get credit for the wins and losses, no matter how they are happening. You're over the team. I mean, because if it was, let's also be real about it. If this was happening under Trump, you think us liberals would be coming up with, well, it must be OPEC or it must be some other price? No, we would be blaming Trump. We would be blaming Trump, whether it was his responsibility or not. We would be blaming him. So I always try to keep it as unbiased as I can where I can. And I'm just simply saying politics is like that. When you're the leader of the team, people give you credit for the wins and losses. I mean, there's a bunch of coaches out there. They got a person like, Tom Brady or Michael Jordan on their team where they were going to win no matter what the hell they did. Well, they still are the one that gets the Gatorade tossed on them. They still get a ring. They still score a win, even if it had nothing to do with them. And that's how it works as president. You're in charge. You accept the wins or losses. I believe one president once said the buck stops here. You don't get to go around. And that was one of the things I generally criticized President Trump for constantly, is that he accepts the wins and blames all the other losses on somebody else. Even if it's members of his own administration, he'll blame it on somebody else. Even if the loss is caused by somebody he told you was a number one draft pick. You went out and drafted this guy. He screwed up and the team lost, and you're blaming him even though you drafted him. Trump was known for doing that. I didn't accept it from Trump, and I don't accept it from Biden. Fair is fair. All right, looking in the box. We'll keep it moving. We'll go straight to Pharaoh. Wow, this.
Oh my God. I saw somebody named Trump. I would have clicked on that. I just happened to see it. Pharaoh.
What's up, brother?
Not much at all. You said you disagree with my premise. Let me have it.
Yeah. Hey, first, Ferday, great. Hey, bro, I gave you a follow because he hit it spot on. Before I get into that with Pence, I've been thinking and saying that all along because Pence originally was kind of staying away from the topic on if he was testify, and then most recently he came out and said, "Yeah, if I'm compelled, I'll testify." So with that RICO
So you
charge,
believe he hit it spot on about the snitching part, working with the government?
Oh, he's fine with that. I don't think anyone on this earth today is going to dispute that Pence will get up there and he's not going to call it snitching. He's going to say that he's, defending democracy and saying because he was compelled, like he was forced to testify. But we all know that there's ways to not testify against someone. But
Now that's true, but let's be clear. When they were talking about hanging Mike Pence, Pence has said on television that Trump did not check on him for several days. The January 6th hearings committees, it was revealed that when Trump was told they were threatening to hang Mike Pence, he said maybe he deserves that because people think he did the wrong thing. He said all kinds of negative stuff about Mike Pence since January 6th. If you were Mike Pence, as you point out rightfully, there are ways to not testify. Would you try to save this man if he done you like that?
well, first of all, I'm not in that partnership, so I can't speak on. They had
You
their
can
thing.
you can give an opinion. Come
No,
on
because my
now.
whole thing is this. My whole thing is this. And this is why personally I don't get involved in illegal things with other people. If I'm going to do something, it's going to be just myself, which I don't do, by the way, for this broadcast. But there's no honor among thieves, bro. There's no honor among thieves. So once you get into
But wait a minute. When you say no honor among thieves, you're insinuating they were doing some wrong.
well, yeah, they were doing some wrong, and Pence knows that they were doing some wrong. Pence knows that they were doing some wrong, and he got out of there at the last minute, probably, a little bit too late, but he got out of there. Now you notice there's no charges against him. So, that's interesting because everyone else is up there. Mark Meadows, all the attorneys. I mean, there were 9 that came in and turned themselves in today. By the way, I'm in Atlanta, right down the street from Fulton County.
Oh,
There
damn.
will be 10 more tomorrow. If those 10 don't come in, the other 9 and the big fish, I know Trump is supposed to be scheduled. If they don't come in by Friday at 12 o'clock, yeah, Fannie's
Warrant.
not playing. So Mark Meadows, for example, he can go ahead and play with Fannie and Georgia State if he wants to. But when 12:30 come around on Friday, he is a fugitive from law, and any citizen, can go after him because he is a fugitive at that point. They're not playing with him. So yeah, all of them. RICO charges are no joke. RICO charges down here are no joke. And I'll give to just my perspective in being in Georgia. Kemp is not helping, none of them, because he doesn't have the
No, he's not.
ability.
But once again, when you mention Governor Kemp in your state, it's very similar to the question I asked you about Mike Pence. Would you defend somebody who treated you like shit? He's also
Hell
treated
no.
Kemp really bad.
Hell no. No, Kemp isn't going to help him. But even if he wanted to, and I'm not just talking about Trump, I'm talking about the other 18 defendants that are on this RICO charge. There's 19 in total. Even
Right.
if Trump wanted to pardon, that's not how we do it down here in Georgia. There is a parole and pardon board, okay, not the governor, and you can send in your application, but it doesn't get considered until you have 60 months in, 5 years. You have to serve.
You know what's really funny about that is that the Republicans often champion being really, really tough on crime. And then this is a perfect case where it's coming back to hurt them because they are really with the RICO Act trying to keep people locked up and giving you little avenue to escape it. And it's coming back to hurt some of the top Republicans in the game.
That's why I say, bro, law and order. They've been telling us that for decades. Black people, black Americans have been telling Republicans and MAGA and others, anyone that would listen, hey, the justice system, hey, there's something going on. It's not right. There's collusion. There's all these things that are happening. It's unfair. And they've been like, no, law and order, justice works, even if it's slow. I mean, we all know all of the little, sayings that there is, right? Justice is blind, it works slowly, but, it bends towards the arc of justice. All that crap that they've been telling us, yeah, I believe it now. So let's go ahead and get the justice. I'm going to be front and center tomorrow. I'll send you some, any content that I see. But I will be at the Fulton County courthouse tomorrow, front row seats.
Did you get in there like that?
No, not right in front, but, it's public and cameras are allowed. Obviously the Secret Service is going to be there. The FBI is going to be there. The Georgia federal investigators are going to be there to keep order. But it's public, so you can be outside and you can take photos. So whatever I can get, I will send on to you. But it's going on tomorrow and Friday.
Please do. So let me ask you this. In the comments, Brownsback, a friend of the program, is saying Fannie you talking about Fannie down there in Fulton County, is overcharging, gonna backfire. Is there any possibility with this RICO charge that she may be overcharging them?
No, and that's the whole thing with the justice system is typically they overcharge. And there's no penalty for charging and them, relieving them against the charges. For RICO charges, if they charge 20, all they need is 2 for it to stand as a RICO charge. All you need is 2 criminal acts to qualify for a RICO. So if she charges and throws things on the wall and 27 don't stick but 3 do, oh, that's 5 years right there. That's mandatory. So all this law and order and all of this stuff, hey, you convinced me, y'all convinced me that, we have the best justice system on earth. We're going to watch it operate. Fannie said that she was going to investigate and go where the evidence leads her in her charges. And I think that she's done that. She's done a good job in presenting it. But it's up to our jury system, right? Our jury system is going to be, the peers that we've been hearing about. The peers are going to judge him. and we'll sit back. I'll have my popcorn.
What about the notion that many, now I do believe this, but I'm gonna give you I want to hear your take on this. What about the notion that going after Trump is political? You got three black people. You got up in New York, you got obviously Fanny, and then there's another one in New York as well. I think both his civil and his criminal case in New York. I mean, you got a lot of black people, black people after this guy. Is any of this shit political?
Hey, I don't care. So what? Everything is political. I don't know how you can separate political and
Right,
justice. It's
right.
our justice system. It's the best that we have. I'll tell you that Fannie, as part of her election, as part of her running for office, she said she was going to go after January 6th criminals, terrorists, and that's what they are, that breached the Capitol. She said she was going to go after anyone that tried to interfere with the Georgia election, that called our Secretary of State and was looking for votes. Anyone that conspired in that, she said she was going to go after it. So part of that was the election. There was a complete other person, I don't know his name now because he didn't get elected, that said the opposite. And that's fine. The people spoke. It was political. She's doing what she said she's going to do. That's what the people want. So is it political? I don't know. Don't care. So
It's
what?
political.
If he did not do it,
Yeah.
like they say, he must have been arrested for something, must have been indicted for something. But if he didn't do it, we have the best justice system. We have jury that is going to have to find him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So even if
Far
one
beyond.
juror says no,
Far beyond for him.
he doesn't have anything to worry about. But what I can tell you is that, yeah, it's not looking good. And when you have these other co-defendants and you have Rudy Giuliani that likes to talk anyway, that has things on tape, when you have Mark Meadows, yeah, this guy called up and asked our sitting counsel in Georgia, said, hey, is there any way that, that audit that you're doing, can we speed that up, and maybe a payment will help out, and maybe a payment will,
Did he
yeah,
really? Did that come out?
yes,
Wow.
yes. So not just do we have alleged criminals, but I don't think they're the brightest on earth. I mean, even the John Gotti's and all of these mob bosses were not that stupid. They had less charges and indictments than this gang of 19. So we're gonna see what happens. I'm gonna be down there. I'm gonna send you the content. But to answer your question, I do slightly disagree with you related to the Cuba. Because here's the thing with Cuba and Ukraine. Here's the difference, okay? I understand exactly what you're saying as far as, an ally and, being close to the borders. But that's not why President Kennedy said, it ain't going down. It was because they were trying to ship military nuclear weapons onto the island. Now, remember, Kennedy never
Okay.
said,
You don't think America has nuclear equipment, atomic equipment out away from the United States mainland that is closer to some of our adversaries?
yeah, but those adversaries don't have the military might and the wherewithal to tell us
Right.
no. Russia
That's
does.
right, exactly. I
Right.
get that part.
So
I
it's fair
get that
game.
part.
So it's fair game. So Russia and the superpowers and China, they have the military might to say, no, you're not going to do this. And, we have to consider that as the risk factor, right? So part of the Ukraine whole thing was we said, hey, do not actually put nuclear weapons in Ukraine. Go ahead and set up your government. We're not going to, we're asking you not to have nuclear weapons and we'll protect you. That was part of the agreement that the U.S. had with
Yeah,
Ukraine and NATO.
that part I agree with. But let me just so I get clarity on this. You're suggesting let's take atomic weapons out of the picture. You're suggesting that if Canada or Mexico wanted to join the Soviet Union with no nuclear weapons, we would just let them do that.
I think we would, because our whole thing is you can now look, now hold on. When I say that, okay, militarily, yes. Now, are we going to have the CIA in there? Are we going to try to influence them to stay democratic? Yes. But the Cuban government has been communist. We never went in and said you
We
cannot be
would
communist militarily.
well,
We never
okay, all
we
right,
never
fair
said
enough.
militarily. Now we're going to try to influence that country, and we're going to give Mexico subsidies and things, and try to prevent them from going communist. But we never military go into a country and say you're going to be democratic,
Yeah, because the influence worked. Russia tried to do what you're saying on the Ukraine. They first tried to influence them.
and they
They didn't
failed.
just go in and attack the country. I mean, they've been trying to do this for years.
But
They
that's
tried
wrong.
to influence them.
You can't militarily force someone that doesn't want to do something. That's the whole thing. And now if we had went into Cuba, no, hold on now. If we had went into Cuba and said, you guys are going to be democracy and we're going to, militarily make that happen out in the open, yeah, that's wrong. But it's all done, the influence, undercover, you know how it goes. And, we send people and we try to get allies. We tried to get those Cuban groups that were anti-communist and try to raise them up. But technically it's them that are doing. Yeah, we can provide, little subsidies to them so that they can get their military, but we don't go in and do that. We just don't operate that way.
Here's what I think would happen if not Cuba, if Canada or Mexico tried to join the Soviet Union. I think originally the United States would do what you're suggesting. We would try
Yes.
to influence them, maybe trying to get a pro-American leader put in their country or something. We would try to influence them first, either diplomatically or through
Yes.
the CIA behind the scenes to prevent them from joining the Soviet Union.
Absolutely.
But if that did not work, we would do to them the same thing Russia did. You know how we would do it? We would come up with some kind of excuse for why they provoked an attack, just like we tried to do with Saddam Hussein. When he
It,
didn't listen to us, we created a reason to suggest that they provoked a war. We would do that with Canada or with Mexico. I really believe we would.
well, it's a hypothetical, so we don't know. You might
Sure.
be completely right, but what I'll say is that if Russian troops came on the land, yes, that's going to provoke. If nuclear weapons or chemical weapons or things like that, yeah, all bets are off. We're going to attack. But if they were just influenced that they're going to change their system to be like Russia, and they had, Russia backing or Iran backing, I don't think that we're, going to be able to sell to Americans that we're just going to invade a sovereign nation and tell them what to do. That's just my take. But you may be right. We could create things up and down. But I just don't see apples to apples with the Ukraine situation with Cuba, because remember, it was the Cuban Missile Crisis. And the word missile is in there for a reason, because it was the nuclear missiles were on their way. And that was like, we're not having that.
We'll just tie it off at a gentleman's disagreement. I disagree, but fair enough. I do got to move it on, though.
All right, bro. Hey,
Good
I'll
talk.
send you that
Send me
content
what you
tomorrow.
get. Send me what you get.
Will do, bro.
Absolute. All right.
Looking in the comment section, Republicans have lost their way since Black Thunder. I don't know if Republicans have lost their way as opposed to changing the direction of where they wanted to go. I think before, let's say, President Trump, Republicans had certain principles they stood on. Now, I think that they've redirected themselves, that they believe Trump has the best vision for America. And as opposed to going with Republican principles, they've chose to follow him. That's the way I see it. I could be wrong, but I do believe that as opposed to going with the traditional principles of the Republican Party, they've chosen to follow Trump. Now, Trump does follow some of the Republican principles, not all of them. And Trump is liable to change his mind at a whim. I think MAGA is going to follow Trump no matter what direction he goes into. So I don't think that they've necessarily lost their way. They just changed their path. Wherever Trump goes, that's where we're going. Certainly when you look at what's going on with him in terms of his criminal prosecution and things like that. Listen, I understand 91 charges, 91 potential felonies. I understand folks believe that all of that is fake, false. I'm not going to submit to that theory, and I'll go to the box shortly, but I do believe what Trump is dealing with is politically based. I do believe it is a politicized. I do believe their aim against Trump is politically motivated. I'm not going to deny that. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. The example I give all the time is that if you get pulled over for, say, speeding, and you start talking shit to the police, you may end up with a ticket for tinted windows, maybe a broken license plate light, low tread on your tires, and a host of bullshit. Only because you was talking shit to the police. That doesn't mean those are not legitimate violations. It just means that your talking shit made them decide to get real petty with you. But technically, legally, those actually are violations and they can give you tickets for them. I specifically, with the case of paying Stormy Daniels out of campaign funds, that's a talking shit ticket. That is him receiving that petty case because he is constantly talking shit about everybody. I do believe it's politically based. And I think if Trump was a well-spoken, pleasant person, similar to, say, Obama or George W. Bush, a personable guy, I don't think he'd be facing some of these things. However, what happened on January 6th is going to draw some legal consequences, period. Some of the things he did, he would still be charged, but I don't think it would be 91. I think that he would be facing a lot less issues. The documents case, for instance, if he had just simply given the documents back, I don't think he would be facing this. I think it was some of this stuff was just him having just the strongest ego. Fuck them, I can keep these are mine, I don't give a damn what they're saying. You even got one of his guys that worked in Mar-a-Lago now is basically turning state's evidence or working with the feds or whatever against him to suggest that Trump wanted to erase the surveillance tape. Some of this stuff is just simply Trump defending his ego and literally digging a hole for himself. But I do believe it's politicized. And like I said, if you're constantly fighting with the government, calling everybody names, like, okay, here's a perfect example. How many of you believe that if you went to court, doesn't matter what charge you're there for, anything from a speeding ticket to a murder charge, how many of you believe that if you were in court and you were talking shit about the judge, that you would walk out of court with a fair trial? Is there anybody who believes that you could talk shit about a judge that's overseeing your case and not face any consequences about that at all? So it's a really good chance that by the time this is done, even the judge is going to be politically motivated to go after Trump. You cannot go through life, and this is not something directed at only Trump or meant to bash Trump. Fact is, you cannot go through life talking shit about people without any consequence at all. I understand my beloved MAGA believes that he's on a righteous path. He's waking people up. He's saying what needs to be said. But what they don't seem to understand is there's consequences to that. There are consequences to making up nicknames about people who have risen to the highest levels of politics in this country. You think a sitting senator or a governor is going to just overlook you criticizing his family with no consequences at all? You think just because you can give us $2 gas, you can go and insult a general, and he's not going to do anything about that? People believe that kind of stuff. Going back to the box. Trump, I love the name.
It's wow, you are the one to talk. I don't get that comment. Elaborate on that. What am I saying that makes me so unique, or what am I saying that's wrong in pointing out that you just can't talk shit about any and everybody and expect no consequence? Trump, good
So what's going
evening. I
on?
love it.
What's going
Not
on?
much. What am I getting wrong here? What am I getting wrong? Is there no consequence to the First Amendment?
Well, you
Free
didn't.
speech?
Well, I didn't say that, but I said, how in the world are you? Okay, so first of all, we got to start with a couple of things. Do you know Walt Nauta is not complying right now?
Do I know who?
Walt Nauta, the co-defendant,
He's
he
not compliant.
he is not complying. You do realize that, right?
No, I did not know that.
Okay, let me play something for you, okay? Because I want you to hear this.
Sure.
I thought you were MAGA, man. I really did. For a long time.
I enjoy speaking with MAGA. I believe that MAGA gets wrongfully censored by, the media. And I always make it clear, even though I lean left, you will always get to speak on my
Yeah,
page.
but I
But
don't.
I
But
lean left. I lean left
Trump's
politically.
liberal. Trump's liberal too, though. So here's the thing: is
Okay.
I see you and what you're saying. Like, don't talk shit on any of these politicians because there's consequences. Guess what? Rosa Parks, there was consequences. The Civil War, there was consequences, and it's called collateral damage. And we have to do what we have
Okay.
to do. I mean, you kind of have to do what you got to do sometimes. So I
All right.
wouldn't say he's he's poetic about the way he does these things sometimes, but it's very important. It's a very important time in our history. And if he's on the
Well,
right
but
side
do
of
you,
history,
do you really think it's very important to call President Biden sleepy or call
yeah, I do. I do.
Elizabeth
I do.
Warren, calling her Pocahontas? What is the
Well,
importance of
because
that?
there's a difference. There's a different way of everybody's attitude on how they how they paint the picture, okay? Maybe it's not the most poetic way to paint the picture, but I'm tired of politically correctness when they smile in your face and then they lie to you. There's a big difference. There's a big difference between when you're smiling in somebody's face and you're straight up lying. At least he'll tell it like it is to you and how he feels, and that's the truth. Now I have a few points I want to get to you. Walt Now, it's very important that you don't know that, okay?
Go ahead.
Another thing is, I want to touch base before I play this for you. Mike Pence, people need to give the real message on why we were mad at Mike Pence. The real reason we're mad at Mike Pence is because he took an oath in a constitution, oath to our constitution to protect us against foreign and domestic. Therefore, he had an obligation to tell those thousands and thousands and thousands of people out there that, hey, this was not stolen if he didn't think so, because it was not just symbolic. This is a time in our country we're very divisive, so therefore he should have stood
But
the toe line.
wait, hold on. The crowd, you're telling me he should have been real with a crowd that was threatening to hang him, while Trump is there saying what he did was wrong.
Before then,
That would have went on deaf ears at that crowd.
no. Before then, hang on. Let me put my camera on for a second. Hang on. Let me put my camera on, because when you're just talking to a voice, sometimes it doesn't do justice. So I want to say this. I want to say he had, as a vice president, you put your hand on the Bible, you take an oath to everybody, every one of your voters out there, and the world for that matter. You're the second in charge of the United States of America. Therefore,
Okay.
if you think the commander in chief is lying, then you have an obligation, not just you should do it. You have an obligation to the people to let them know. I'm not talking about wait till they all gather on January 6th. Maybe when you went to stop the steal rallies and told people you're going to count every last legitimate vote, maybe he should have said it then, folks. Maybe he should have not had his tail between his leg and hid behind the cross as a fake Christian. That's how I feel, and that's the truth. And that's why we were so mad.
Wait. You see Mike Pence as a fake Christian?
I do, 100%.
Wow. What about Trump? Is Trump a real Christian?
I do believe he is. I mean, that's what he says he is. I do believe him because of what he's. We're going to disagree on that. That's fine. But I just wanted to tell you why we're upset with Mike Pence. That's the true reason. When we expected him, he took it that far. He might as well have done his. At least, at the very least, he could have did is threw his hands up and said, "I can't participate in this, symbolic or not. Do what you will with me."
I get your point. I get your point that Mike Pence, in your opinion, should have came correct with the people. But does that one issue
And I think you're
erase
gonna.
everything he did for Trump over 4 continuous years? Because he made that one error, you throw everything else out for him?
No, I don't throw everything else out. There's plenty of faults when he talked bad about McCain, but McCain came out at first, but that's not good. He's a human, okay? I'm just saying I respect him because he's a human, he's a sinner, all that good stuff, okay? What they paint us as, you know what? I put King MAGA behind me now, and I'm going to go flood his rallies with these King MAGA flags because it's going to go on CNN, and I'm serious. We're going to give them away for free. Okay, and so here's the thing: is you have to do what's right, and what's right's not always popular. Okay, Rosa Parks did it. We fought a civil war over it.
Wait. Let me interrupt. Let me interrupt. Two things I want to say. First of all, folks, tap the screen. Still almost 600 of you folks in here this evening. You could be anywhere you want to be on TikTok. I'm glad to have you here. So show your boys some love. Tap the screen. Get my likes up to around 40,000. On January 6th, you keep talking about Rosa Parks and those others that paved the way. And sometimes you got to do what's right. On January 6th, who do you think did the right thing? Mike Pence, or you think Trump was doing the right thing?
Donald Trump did the right thing. Our elected leaders did not. Okay? So that's what it was about that day. When we went that day, it was about the elected leadership doing the right thing. It was not about we're going to go overthrow the government. That's not what it was about. It was about we're going to show. So we're show our support, our support for the president, what he's saying, and elected leaders, you better do your job. Whether it goes to the Supreme Court, whatever it does. It should not have went that way that day. What should have happened is Mike Pence, however he should have did it, he should have not participated and it's symbolic that they had to change the election laws now, so future vice presidents can't do that. But it was symbolic, right? So if it was symbolic, he should have threw his hands up and say, I can't be a part of that history, or he could have beforehand told the people.
What if Mike Pence felt there was no legitimate reason not to do what his traditional duty was on that day?
He never said that. He never said that until recently, until about 2 weeks ago. He never, ever said that. Try to find a video on that. You won't. Okay. So you don't tucker your tail between your legs and second in command in the United States of America and say, well, folks, I'm just going to fold my hands up and I'm just going to go do what I'm supposed to do because it's what we've always done.
Even though he didn't say it, and
doesn't matter.
Okay, I get your
the commander-in-chief was. The commander-in-chief was.
Even though he didn't say it and you're holding him accountable for not letting folks know, now that you know what he believed, do you think he himself made the right decision in not basically doing what Trump wanted, which was to refuse to certify the election? Do you think that even though
he never said, I didn't believe it, so I didn't do it. He said, my lawyers, my legal advice told me I couldn't do it. Okay, so in that
he had ignored his lawyers?
So in that, no, this is what in my opinion, this is what he should have did. He should have either announced it to the American people. Donald Trump's full of shit, you guys. I don't see this evidence, and I'm not going to participate in this. Or on January 6th, if his lawyers told him he couldn't reverse the election, he should have threw a Hail Mary in there and said, hey, I'm not going to participate in this, on these charades.
Why should he do it? Why should he?
What would have happened? You explain it, Mr. Handsome Liberal. Explain to me this. What would have happened if Mike Pence said, hey, I'm not participating in this. I'm not going to do this. It's a part of procedure. It's not symbolic. It's a part of the procedure.
For what reason? I get your point.
What would have happened? What would have happened? What would have happened?
Maybe nothing would have happened, but why would he do that? What's the purpose? He didn't believe he had a reason to do that. Why would he break tradition?
I'm going to tell you what we thought was going to happen, okay? Okay, we thought he was going to send it back. But even if he didn't send it back, if he didn't participate in it, they would have had to first of all, there's objections, and if he didn't participate in it, that's a part of our procedure. Procedure is a big part of our military. It's a big part of companies. It's a big part of OSHA, all kinds of things, okay? So this is a procedural ground that you would have disrupted, and the courts would have had to look at it. Hold up, what's going on here? This has never happened in American history. So he could have been on the right side of the law, but he was not.
You don't believe that Trump is suggesting he won by a landslide. Mike Pence doesn't.
I know.
That.
But he didn't say that, did he? Until about 2 weeks ago. He said he didn't even say that. And he didn't even say that.
Hold on. You're holding a man accountable for not saying something. I get that. I'm saying, though, in his mind, he didn't believe Trump won the election. So why would he?
He had an obligation because he took an oath. Just like if Donald Trump lied to us, and he goes to court and he has no proof, Donald Trump's going to be held accountable, okay? But guess what? I believe he's got the proof, and we will see, my friend. We will see, okay? But I want you to know something. Walt Nauta is not complying with the government. I'm going to prove that to you right now. It's not very well known. It's on PBS and a couple other things.
All right, let me hear it. Let me hear it.
Will Sharf. Most of the indictment against Trump is based on what Evan Corcoran told them. And what they did was they said, you tell us about this stuff, because when Donald Trump came to you and said, hey, they're going to bring charges against me of hanging on to stuff that's marked classified. They're going to accuse me of putting the nation in danger with what's called NDI, National Defense Information. What kind of legal defenses can we come up with? The U.S. attorney, the DOJ, the Biden DOJ, has said, we're going to suggest that that was involving the lawyer in a further crime. Now, is that involving the lawyer in a further crime? Now,
here's the corruption coming up.
They're going to charge me with some crimes. I want to figure out the best defense. I don't think they had any right to talk to Evan Corcoran. Do you know what else they did, Larry? I'll tell you something else. Donald Trump's valet, I guess his body man, got indicted as well. His name is Walt Nauta. And Walt Nauta has a very sharp attorney. I mean, he's a big deal attorney. And this attorney is being considered for a major federal judgeship in Washington, D.C. Do you know what the Biden DOJ did? And this guy's already filed with the courts to say, these people from the DOJ threatened me. And they also said, if your client cooperates with us, you might have an easier time getting that job as a judge. And it's not just me saying that. He filed paperwork in court to say that the Biden DOJ told him, you help us out with this case against Donald Trump, and you have a better chance of getting that
sweet job as a judge in D.C. So, Walt Nauta's lawyer, okay? Walt Nauta's lawyer, his legal team, okay? Walt Nauta would not be putting a fight up against the DOJ facing a life sentence at 40 years old or 42, whatever he is, okay? Risking his whole entire life fighting the DOJ and not complying if Donald Trump was guilty. Okay, he ain't flipping. Rudy ain't flipping. 18 others ain't flipping. Just telling you, man, it ain't happening. This is the real shit. This is the real deal.
All right, I do got to move it on, but I will tell you this: I would feel more confident with what you're saying if Trump wasn't facing a host of felonies in all these other places.
There's court filings on it.
Even if
There's
what
court
you're
filings
saying
on
is, hold on,
right?
even if what you're saying is true there, somewhere along the line, there's going to be people cooperating against Trump. He has to beat 91 different cases because all of this stuff comes with time. He could win everything in Fulton County, like you're suggesting, and lose elsewhere. He has a lot.
I've been right about everything. Gag order on Trump. Okay, they're going to charge him, and that's how he's going to prove his case. You can look back on my history, man. I've called it the whole time. You know what's going to happen? The people that are going to flip, it's not Mark Meadows because he's already filed the court paperwork saying that I want this dropped. This is not right. I want it in federal court, okay? Mark Meadows ain't complying. Rudy's not. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. The lower level people that can't afford their lawyers, which Trump's not going to pay for all of them. When you're an innocent man, you can't do that. You can help your boys out a little bit, but you're not going to pay for everybody's fucking lawyer all the way to Gardner. Gardner's going to say, hey, man, I'm risking my whole life. I'm going to say, he ain't really flipping. I was going to say, he's spilling the beans about little talking shit here and there. He's not going to really have anything hardcore, but he's going to defend himself for some sort of to make him look guilty about stuff, but that's not going to get it done. It's just going to be propaganda for the news, you see? And that's what I'm calling right now. And then here's the left. And one more.
I gotta move it on. We don't totally agree, but I do.
One more thing, handsome liberal.
Go ahead.
The left is going to go crazy because there's going to be a couple hung up juries, okay, and they're going to get dismissed, and this shit's going to stretch out, and they're just going to keep extending it, keep doing it. So go anyway, man. Have a good day.
All right. Good luck with that. Never know. All right.
Now, just being candid, I believe my last caller is incredibly optimistic. Is it possible what he's saying could happen? Maybe. But I would assume that some of these highly intelligent federal prosecutors like Jack Smith, I'm assuming he thought that Trump, I'm sure he planned on Trump trying to do many of the things that my last caller suggested. Listen, at the end of the day, Trump is the Teflon Don. But beating 91 felonies from multiple different jurisdictions is no easy feat to accomplish. There's no way I feel as optimistic as my last caller where he's just going to be able to navigate through all of this stuff. Do I believe all 91 charges will stick on Trump? No. But beating 91 charges, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to probably pay about 5 to 1 that Trump is found guilty of something. And the problem is because they're all felonies, they all come with some punishment and time. That doesn't mean he can't be president still. Doesn't mean, he's going to go to jail at all. But the notion that he's been charged with 91 different cases and every one of those he's either going to win or it's going to be thrown out. Like I said, 5 to 1 I'd pay on that. I just don't see the federal government doing that bad of a job. When you factor in that the feds, not talking about Fulton County, but the feds have a conviction rate of like 90, 95%. And they got like 70 something times to swing at you. They have a hit rate of about 95%, and they're going to take 70 plus swings at you, and they got to miss all of those. Look, I understand MAGA, Trump supporters do not want this guy convicted. They believe that the whole thing is a witch hunt, is bullshit. We can discuss that all day long, but the idea that none of these charges are going to land on Trump, none of them are going to be successful. I think that is incredibly optimistic. Now, my last caller was suggesting that one of the individuals is not going to flip on Trump. Problem is, there's a lot of people that have the potential to flip on Trump, such as Attorney General Barr and Mike Pence, because Trump is suggesting that on January 6th, he truly thought he had won the election. Remember, he's claiming First Amendment free speech rights. I didn't have to be telling the truth about whether I won or not or any of that, but I have the First Amendment free speech right to say what I said. The government, on the other hand, is comparing it to yelling fire in a crowded theater. Well, if Trump is suggesting on January 6th he felt confident he won, he's entitled to that opinion. However, when you got both Mike Pence and Attorney General Barr, who have stated that they're willing to testify under oath, that they told Trump several times that the theories he was presenting, stolen ballots, dead people voting, immigrants, illegal immigrants voting, Dominion voting machines, all of this stuff, Ruby Freeman, Mike Pence and particularly Attorney General Barr have said that they will testify under oath, that they told Trump that that stuff had been invalidated, and he continued saying it anyway. I don't know if that'll make a difference in the case, but it certainly throws out the theory that Trump truly thought he had won on that day. Not to mention during the January 6th hearings, one of his own associates testified that he said, "Can you believe I lost to this guy?" Admitting that he had lost once again. All of these people are flipping on Trump. I think in opposition to what my last caller said, what's going to happen, as opposed to nobody testifying on Trump, you're going to have a lot of people flipping on Trump, and they're just going to throw the testimony out as them being rhinos or never Trumpers. But there's going to be people flipping on Trump, because even the last caller admitted he's not paying everybody legal fees. Why would you take the fall when you're trying to help this guy out, and now that you're going down, he's doing nothing for you? People are going to be flipping, period. I do believe Rudolph Giuliani is among that crowd. Eventually, he is going to flip, because we can say that Trump may beat all these cases, which is very difficult to do. But do you think all of those co-defendants are going to beat their cases too? They don't have the love or the power of Trump with all of the MAGA maniacs behind him, as Hulk Hogan was saying. What are you going to do when my MAGA maniacs get their hands on you? All of his co-defendants don't have that kind of love and support. Some of them folks are going to go to jail. The Sidney Powells and all of those folks, some of them folks are actually going to go to jail if he doesn't do more to help them out. Going back to the box, we'll keep it moving with whatever. Good
morning.
Oh, my
Whatever.
friend.
Sorry, I hate to tell you. Hang on a second. Strictly Business says, sorry, I hate to tell you, he's going down flaming. The game is over. Create a new lie. What do you think? Do you think Trump, like my last caller said, is going to beat all these charges?
I can't see how he can beat them. I mean,
Yeah.
especially all of them.
Yeah.
The documents case, basically, you're just waiting to hand all that information to a jury and say, just do it already. I mean, it's open and shut, the documents. The Georgia case, I think, is also probably the strongest out of all the indictments, just because, again, everything is right there. The emails,
I think that, I don't know. I mean, the problem is when you're talking about Trump, because you don't want to miss going after a former president. I think most of these cases have a hell of a lot of script behind them, but because we can go back and forth on which one is the strongest case. I think they're also strong that we're going to be juggling, because you're saying the Georgia case. I think the documents case is probably the strongest one.
definitely, Georgia case definitely, just because there's too much there that Trump already admitted. Especially with Georgia, you've got all those fake electors. Why do you have a fake elector? If you won, why would you have fake electors?
Well, in addition to the fake electors case, I have to ask this question. When an election is going on, why is one of the candidates calling the governor saying, find me votes? It's not the governor's job to find votes for one of the candidates. That's like interfering with the election.
State. He was calling the Secretary of State, who is in
It,
charge
does,
of the
it doesn't
election
matter who
integrity.
it's not that government's job to find you votes.
No,
There's an election going on, sir, and when the votes are tallied, we'll announce it. It's not our job to go look specifically for you votes. That is interfering with the election.
I remember where I was when I first heard that tape on the radio. I was like, that's it. He's done. Because he just
It's
admitted everything
bad.
right
It's
there.
bad. I mean, I understand folks are trying to spin it and say, look, he was just saying this or that, but when an election is going on, you have no business calling the government of that state, asking them to
Especially as
find you votes.
especially as president of the United States, and then
Right.
saying there's very bad things that can happen to you, Brad.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. I mean, listen. I generally refer to MAGA, and I say if imagine Biden doing the exact same thing
Oh,
and
they
Trump
don't take no.
supporters saying nothing about it.
They're so. I'm sorry, and I don't mean to say all of them, but a damn majority of them, they're just hypocrites. Because if Biden were to do the same thing Trump's doing, they would absolutely have a cow.
I would criticize Biden if he'd done something
I
like
would
that. Why
too.
are you calling the government and asking them to find you votes? That's not their job. Their job is to count the votes and give out the results, not to find one of the candidates' votes.
Well, Handsome, here's the thing about these guys. We say, most people on the left say, if you can find proof against Biden, throw him in jail.
Right.
You do not hear MAGA or Republicans saying, if you can find proof, throw Trump in jail. You never hear them say that, ever.
I have never heard of a liberal saying that what they're doing to Hunter Biden is a witch hunt either.
No.
Yeah.
And if he's guilty, throw him in jail.
Right.
And if Joe's involved in it, throw him in jail too.
Yeah. If Hunter Biden had 91 indictments on him, I would be like, he's guilty as fuck. If my mom had 91 charges, like, Mom, listen, Mom, you lying, and you gotta be lying. You got four
Yeah.
different jurisdictions saying that you commit. Mom, you ain't telling me something. That's what I would be saying.
It would definitely be going up to Mom saying, "Hey, Mom, let's talk because we gotta get the least here for you. So let's cop to it. Let's make a deal."
But I heard a poll recently that was shocking, and I don't know if I believe this, but you let me know what you think. That stated that Trump supporters believe him more than they do their own parents and close associates and friends, and religious leaders,
Yes. That's
You
why
believe that?
religious leaders will jump on anything he says, and that's why people like my brother, who are Trumpers, will believe Trump over the rest of the family. And he's
What has
also a
he
religious leader. He's
done?
also a minister in a Baptist church.
I mean, what has he done to get? I mean, I get he speaks, he calls things out and wakes people up on, a lot of the corruption and things like that in this country. But what has he done to get that type of adoration, though?
I think a lot of it has to do with the abortion ban, with the putting the Supreme Court together the way he did, and it solidifies the Republicans' place because let's face it, Republicans haven't won the popular vote but once in the last 40 or 50 years. So they need some help. So they need a Supreme Court that's going to allow some gerrymandering. They're going to need a Supreme Court that's going to overrule things like, Roe v. That kind of stuff, I think, endeared Trump to them. And because it's godly, and they've made it godly, and they've made it a part of the religion, you kind of got to go with it or you're going to hell.
Mm. Well, let me ask you this, because this is something I've heard on the program. Somebody told me this about 5 or 6 months ago, and it has always stuck in my head. A true blue Trump supporter that told me Trump will never be found guilty because every jury will have at least one MAGA on it. How do you view that? Is that possible that there's no way Trump could ever go down because every jury is going to have at least one MAGA serving on the jury?
I mean, that's always possible, right? But hopefully the lawyers know what they're doing and can get rid of those folks. I mean, both lawyers have so many that they can just say absolutely not, and they also have the ability to talk them into admitting something, which a lot of MAGA people will, and sit there and say, nope, he's unfit. And they have countless unfits if they can prove it.
But what's the
So it's
difference?
going to be difficult.
What's the difference between a never Trumper or somebody who's on a witch hunt to just blindly get Trump versus somebody who is on a jury that's MAGA and they're going to blindly acquit him? I mean, what's the difference? If you
The
walk in the
difference is the
courtroom,
same thing we just talked about, Handsome. I will say, if Biden's guilty, throw him in jail. They will not. They don't. And lawyers are smart. They know how to trap people by one question and then getting another question to get them to admit that, that's not true. So I think that that's how you're going to keep MAGAs off the court, because they say shit just right off the top of their head. And they're going to be able to sit there and say, no, he's biased. And
yeah,
then they'll know which one's MAGA. They'll know, because lawyers are smart. They read juries. That's their job. And
all you
they'll
got to
just
do is
sit there and
start asking
say,
them. You start asking about the deep state or how you feel about George Soros. You can, yeah, there are certainly
they're a
some
little
trigger
smarter
words
than
because,
that. They're a little
yeah,
smarter than that. They'll go with policies or something. They'll do something smarter. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know how they're going to do that, but they'll do it.
fair
But
enough.
yeah,
Let
it's
me
totally
let me ask you this
possible.
last one. I want to ask you this last one before I let you go because I suppose it's aimed at me, but how do you respond to this? Someone in the comments, Rufus Reddick 471 said, "You're black, so of course you believe Trump is guilty." Is this a case where you can tell,
What?
so
You're not one of Trump's blacks? You're not.
I just had to ask. I just had to ask.
He's yeah. You're not gonna get paid and wear the Blacks for Trump shirt in the background.
No, I don't have one of those.
Oh man, see, you
But
got to sit
yes,
there and
kid,
maybe you got to
go
go write Trump and tell him that you want a Trump Blacks for Trump T-shirt and get paid to sit behind him on the stage.
ahead. Fair enough. So I did want to make sure it wasn't just because I was black. All right, whatever.
Love you, brother.
Absolutely a pleasure. Good to have you on. By the way, folks, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 60,000. I can't believe almost, 540 something of you guys in here. I do appreciate that. I'm surprised. Apparently, a lot of us did watch the Republican debate. I actually took some notes. I'll go back to the bot shortly, but some of the things they talked about, climate change, these are things that the liberal side of me took notes on. Climate change, abortion, crime. I want to talk about crime real quick. January 6th, I took down a note asking, did Mike Pence do the right thing? And the reason I asked that is because everyone on that stage, with the exception of Vivek Ramaswamy, which even MAGA believes is running for the running mate position of vice president, every other candidate on that stage stated that President or Vice President Mike Pence on January 6th did the right thing. All of them did. Ron DeSantis tried to avoid the question, but Brett Baer pushed him, and he even said, yes, Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th. So that's interesting. The other issue I took out was helping Ukraine and teachers' unions, which is another issue. I believe the way that Republicans are talking about getting rid of teachers' unions is probably going to cost them a lot of votes from teachers. Fact is, I don't know of any employee that brags about how much better their take-home pay and benefits got once they got rid of unions. I just don't know. You notice nobody's talking about getting rid of the police unions. If you talk about unions make it hard to fire people and they protect bad folks, police unions do the same thing. You notice you don't hear the Republicans talking about getting rid of police unions at all. But they are talking about getting rid of teachers' unions, and teachers already don't make much money. You get rid of their union,
it's not going to get better for teachers. It's just not. It may get better for the city. You can get rid of some bad teachers, or you can stop bad teachers from hiding behind union benefits. But at the end of the day, their salaries and benefits are going to drop if they get rid of unions. I mean, what is it? United we stand, divided we fall. Just in America as a whole, there's a hell of a lot of corporations and companies that have lost unions. No one benefits at the working level when you get rid of unions. So the idea that the Republicans want to get rid of the teachers unions, I'm sure the teachers are not fond of that. I would love to see a town hall full of teachers and ask them, how do you feel about getting rid of your union? I bet you would not have very many teachers saying, yeah, we would be better off with no union at all. I feel confident that would not go well. Marcus in the comments says false. Okay, fair enough. Let's bring them up. I'm curious. Why would you think that anybody would want to
unions? I mean, whether you make it automobiles, working for UPS, who benefits by losing a union? Is that what you're saying, Marcus?
Hey, what's up? First off, I want to say let me put my camera on, Tim.
All right, good to have you on,
What's
man.
up, brother?
Good morning.
Hey,
not much at all. Good to have you back.
But look, you spun me on the comment, so hold that question, because you had a big fan of yours, Papa Storm, right? She said, how could I, as a black man, vote for Donald Trump? Well, you had Biden went on Charlemagne radio station and said, well, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So you know what? I'm not black, so I'm American. So I took that offensive. So, and you're a veteran. I appreciate you serving the country and stuff like that. But anyway, what was your question?
Well, now we'll tackle that real quick about the vote for me or you ain't black by Biden.
No,
I've said before.
I already heard you say that already. You don't have to go on that. But anyway, that's not.
Okay.
I just wanted.
All right. Well, I figured the audience may have wanted to hear, but okay. The question that I was asking you, which I don't kind of forgot now. You threw me off with that. What was that? Oh, unions. You talked about unions. You're telling me teachers are better off without unions?
No, that's not what I said. And that was one person that made that comment. So as a whole, the Republican
No.
Party,
On that stage, Vivek Ramaswamy and several of them were talking about getting Ron DeSantis too, talking about getting rid of teachers unions. Do you think that is a good thing for teachers?
Well, honestly, I'm gonna have to go back and roll the clip back because I didn't watch it. I was watching Tucker Carlson and Trump on X. So I honestly, I caught the last end of that, pretty much that debate, right? So, but I highly doubt that the Republicans is really trying to get rid of the teachers union. Why? And I say that because of this. You have the Department of Justice already now intimidating parents in some of these Democrat cities about their kids right now. So going over into the, genders changing and all that stuff, and you can look it up. I'll have the information up in front of me right now.
Yeah, because I'm trying to see if I can find a clip about them stating they want to get rid of teachers unions, because that seems to be something that you're having trouble believing they would say.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I don't think Donald Trump, if he get president, will do that, period. So that's not, I don't care. I didn't watch the debate. Honestly, I can't, like I said, I came in on the last end of that debate. Like I said, I was watching Tucker Carlson and Trump interview or whatnot. And then after that was over, it was like about 45 minutes. And then I picked up the last end of the debate, and they was talking about, about what they was going to do for to become president and stuff like that. So I really didn't, I haven't really watching Fox. I mean, I like Hannity at night, but I really don't watch it, man. And, so, but my thing is, like, to the other guy that was in here, and you know this, and I know this, Mike, I don't really, you said, you said just now that he's been charged with 99 in charges and he got to be guilty, right? But
I didn't say he has to be guilty. I said, hold on. Just like when I used my mom as an example, I didn't say he has to be guilty. I said it's unlikely he's going to beat them all. Even if you're, like I said, even using my mom as an example, even if I believe she's 100% innocent, I don't believe you're going to walk away beating 90-something federal charges. I think that eventually you're going to be found guilty of something. Even if you didn't do it, that's just too much of a gauntlet to successfully navigate.
But Tim, you and I both know, I mean, this is unprecedented. The first time You have one of the Republican frontrunners, which is leading by double digits against their Republican rivals, right? But this never been happened where a Democratic Department of Justice go after their competitive. I mean, their
I
political
don't
rival.
like that.
So
Here's the
you
problem with
don't
that.
like that, but I mean, you might
No,
not
no,
like
let me
it
tell
too.
you why though. It
But
ain't
hold on,
about my
but you might not
personal.
like it, but that's what's going on, bro. Like, I mean,
No,
honestly,
it's not. No, it's
in
not.
Georgia now, and you
No,
talk
no,
about
800.
in Georgia, like they finna vote to remove her from office because they got some shit on her about because it's all politically motivated. She,
Okay, let me
you know what I
say
mean?
this.
So I really
Let me
think
tell you.
Georgia's gonna be
Hold on,
tossed out.
you're throwing a lot out. The reason why I say I don't like it is the notion that I understand it fits the agenda for Trump to suggest that it is him versus the liberals. So you keep him and said, as you just pointed out, they're trying to go after they're trying to go after the opposition. But the fact is, there's dozens of Republicans. It ain't just liberals. It's dozens of Republicans saying that guy is
Are
a
you talking
criminal.
about the Rhino Republicans?
So Mike Pence is a
So
rhino.
yeah, I mean, what other Republic? Okay,
Wait,
okay, well,
what makes Mike wait, wait,
hey,
what
look,
makes Mike
that's a
Pence a
trigger.
rhino?
Hey, that's a
What
trigger.
makes right what makes
No. Look, that's a trigger. That's a trigger because when we say rhinos, y'all automatically go on defensive. What other Republicans you saying? What other Republicans besides
Attorney General Barr?
Barr? Come on now, Barr was not. Barr. Honestly, was a Trump guy in the beginning. He turned on Biden. I mean Trump.
Did he turn on Trump or do he believe Trump genuinely did something wrong?
He turned on him. He said he want to save his ass. Honestly, I really think that. Honestly, just like
Barr is
this.
trying, wait, a minute, Barr is trying to save his ass from what?
What I'm getting at is this, because Tim, I know you, bro, right? What I'm getting at is this. What all I'm saying is I don't, I'm not into the more of the technicalities of Barr, but when it comes to what's going on now, and you know it, and a lot of people know it, they don't want to see Trump in office. Trump got a
But it's
fucking
not
black. Trump
that
got a
you
black
you
book,
are correct.
and
They
you know
don't
what?
want to see Trump in
He's
office, but
gonna expose that left party. He's gonna
he's
expose a lot of people up there, bro. But see, you know what the thing of it is for me, Tim? For me is, see, we talking about Trump and all this. Let's talk about unity. Let's talk about bringing people together. That's what we need to talk about. You know what I mean?
Do
That's
you
what it's
wait?
supposed to be about.
Hold on, hang on. So you say let's talk about unity and bringing people together. Do you think that's the campaign that Trump is trying to run? That if he's reelected, he's going to focus on unity and bringing people
See, that's the thing.
together?
I'm not talking about what Trump's saying. I'm talking about what I'm saying, right? But I tell you one thing.
Marcus, leadership works from the top down. It does. The people don't unify if the top is divisive. It works from the top down. If Trump is divisive, the people going to be divisive too.
First off, listen, Hanson Liberal, aka Tim, man. Listen, bro, I'm in business, bro, and you're right. It does start. Leadership start from your CEO down. I understand that what you're saying. So I'm not here to get a business lesson on leadership. This is way bigger than for as leadership, bro. This comes way
But you're
before
not
that.
hearing what I'm saying. You just said let's talk about unity and coming together, and then you admitted what the leadership
I
is.
personally
Hold on,
said that.
hang on, wait a
Look,
minute. You're not letting me
I'm
finish.
talking. Okay,
Marcus,
well,
Marcus,
let
you're
me
not letting me
backtrack.
finish. Hold on, you interrupted me before I can even finish my statement. You just said we need to focus on unity and coming together, and then admitted the guy I'm voting for is divisive as hell. So how do you expect to achieve that?
Okay, well, divisive as hell. Obama was divisive as hell.
That
You know,
doesn't. What
he ran
about
on
this? And
hope and
doesn't answer the
change.
question.
No, I mean, because you took what I said, Tim, and ran with it, right? So
I
my thing is
asked
this:
you
I
a
was speaking
question.
when I was saying for me personally, I didn't say Trump because I support Trump. I'm not saying he's not trying to bring unity, which I really think he's trying to bring the people that want freedom of speech, people that want to be able to, because everything should be for the people. The people should have the right to vote, whatever their case may be. But the Democratic Party switch a lot of shit up, bro. And you know this too. Just like you say you're not big on, not to change the subject, just like you say you're not big on that community and all that agenda, right? It's the same thing they pushing. So what I'm saying is for me, bro, is that I, as a person, me as an American, because I'm not black, because I was told that if I don't vote for a white president that's a Democrat, if I don't vote for him, I'm not black. So therefore, I'm not black. I'm American. So what I'm telling you is today is I feel, me personally, as conservative Marcus, I feel that, you know, we having discussions, discourse about one individual when we need to be having discussions about how can we come together, because they already say MAGA supporters are racist, and they already say, they already say MAGA supporters are racist and all this other stuff. That's not true. I've been around them since 2015. So all I'm saying is, for me personally, is that for me, my platform is coming together. Period. I don't
Okay.
care if you
So let me
Democrat.
respond to
I
you. Let
don't
me
care if
respond to
you
that.
are. I don't care if you are
Okay.
white,
Okay.
Mexican. It
Marcus,
don't
Marcus,
matter.
you are
Come
covering
together.
way too much.
Eh,
I can't respond. You're covering so much in one statement. Fact is, you talked about your running a platform on how we can come together. I'll make it simple for you. We can come together by finding somebody who runs on a platform of unity. I'm not saying it's Biden, but you admitted
So
it's
so
not
so
Trump.
so so do
Wait,
you
wait,
think
I'm
that?
not.
Let
I
me
didn't
ask you.
finish
So
responding.
I know where you're
I
going
didn't,
with this.
Marcus. I didn't finish responding until we find a leader that runs on unity. You're not going to get what you're suggesting. Go ahead.
So do you think Biden and Kamala Harris ran on unity? And
I just answered that.
I didn't hear you. I missed that.
I said I'm not saying it's Biden, but you admitted it's not Trump. Biden ran on restoring the soul of this nation, and then he started talking about dark MAGA. So Biden is not being a unifying leader either. But we know Trump isn't trying to do that. In fact, many MAGA wants Trump, if he's reelected, to get revenge on people.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't say that Trump is not trying to unite people. I didn't say that. What I think Trump is, he is trying to. I think he is, because at the end of the day, it's like this here, bro. You know,
Based on what?
based on, I mean, look at what did you go look at his platinum plan?
That has nothing to do with unifying people. You can
No,
give me $2 gas and still piss
I'm
me
asking a
off.
question. Did you look up his platinum plan? He didn't get a chance.
No, but that ain't going.
This guy only did one term. You had a black president for 8 years in office, bro. 8 years. 8 years. Trump only y'all crucified this man. He only had one term, and he did everything. I'm gonna just say majority. I ain't gonna say everything, but he did. He ran on everything. He ran on. He did 90% of what he said he was going to do.
That's not true. Are you kidding?
I'm not. Tell me what he didn't do. I said 90%. I said
Let
90%.
me respond to
I
that.
didn't say
His
all.
signature,
Key word. I didn't say all. I said 90%.
his signature campaign promises: repeal and replace Obamacare, build a wall, drain the swamp, term limits. He didn't accomplish any of that stuff. The signature promises: lock her up. None of that stuff came true.
So when you're a big Obama supporter.
90%.
Obama solely ran on hope and change, right? Am I correct?
Okay.
He ran on hope and change as the first, what you call him, the African American president that ran in office. He talking about bringing hope and change to this country. What hope and change he brought to this country besides Obamacare?
Okay. Are we talking about Trump or Obama?
I'm going back to Obama for right now, because
Okay.
I'm just asking. I never did get your take on this, because I wasn't on the platform talking about Obama. So I'm just saying, what's the difference? What are the hope and change that Obama as a black man did for the black community or white community, Latino community, on hope and change, unifying the party?
That's a good question. And here's the answer to that. I have never heard of a liberal suggest that Obama accomplished 90% of the things he had promised. You said that Trump accomplished 90%. I have never heard a Democrat say that about Obama. In fact, I've heard blacks say Obama didn't do enough for them. I've never heard them say that Obama accomplished 90% of the stuff he set out to accomplish. That's the difference.
Yeah, but Tim, you and I both know, man. Honestly, we can go back and forth, and I respect you, Tim. We have different agreements and stuff like that. Overall, he is a good guy, and he truly is
Okay.
MAGA. He truly is MAGA, because he gonna wake up and smell the coffee one day. But listen, he gonna be he gonna come on y'all, and he gonna be like, "Hey, man, you know what? I messed up, but you know what? This is what I see." So, but look, Tim, I don't want to hold up the box, bro. I'm not like an AJ rant room or full service, bro. It's just that I just love coming saying my speech. But I honestly think, bro, we need to come together as a whole, man. Honestly, You know what I mean? And it's like, even though, I have to get on my people when you come to my box, because you know what? You're not going to disrespect my guy. And you are my guy, even though we disagree, but at the same time, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And so keep doing your thing, man. But I really think you're gonna wake up and have that MAGA hat, because you paid for a MAGA hat, bro. It's coming.
All
But
right.
I will digress. Let somebody else come in. Have a good night, bro, because it's way past my bedtime.
All right. Good talk. Appreciate you coming through. Marcus, always a pleasure.
All right, looking in the comments, and like us, and that he's correct in pointing out that it's not always about agreeing or disagreeing with the callers. I do believe folks should have their right to speak. As you see, I don't block, ban, or censor anyone, even if we vehemently disagree. Such as, vote for me and you ain't black. I have a whole different take on that. Certainly when Trump is the competition, but I do believe in letting the folks speak. Looking in the comments, go to sleep, Marcus, says Anthony Edwards. Be nice to the guests. Trying to get him up with his talking points. He was ready to go. Typical Trump or Chantel. Trump used his Jedi mind tricks on him. Wow. Poor guy's clueless, brainwashed. You guys are harsh at this time, at this late hour. But you could be kind and get your boy up to around 75,000 likes. Help out the algorithms, if you will. Bring in more MAGA. You know what I like to talk to. Folks always ask, why would a liberal have a MAGA hat? It is indeed because I honestly believe that conservatives, Republicans, and particularly MAGA do not get a fair shake in the media. And I do believe that free speech is necessary for us to have a civilized society, particularly politically. So the hat is always to let MAGA know this will always be a friendly place to get your point across, whether we agree or disagree. I do believe in free speech. So that is the purpose of the hat. Looking in the comments, but Obama had a library book, so is anyone innocent? What? Oh, had a late library book. Not only did Obama have a late library book, he also used to wear a tan suit and occasionally got off of Marine One without saluting the soldiers that were standing there. Obama had some very weird scandals. I mean, if we want to talk about maybe Benghazi or Solyndra or Fast and Furious, but it was, compared to Trump and now Biden, Obama was almost scandal-free compared to them. I mean, I'm not saying that Obama didn't have any scandals, but they were very mild compared to Trump for certain, and even Biden to some degree, whose child is really a thorn in his side. Hunter Biden has really, really caused President Biden some sleepless nights. Even though Hunter Biden is not a politician, he is a whipping boy, so he certainly caused Biden some serious issues. Looking in the comments, you had a birther movement, and that's what I wanted. I generally point that out to Trump supporters who state that they never gave Trump a fair chance from day one and they were messing with him immediately. There was consequences to pay for that 3 years of birther movement. That right there is probably a lot of the reason why Trump was facing adversaries from day one, is because he played a huge part in doing that to his predecessor. He didn't give Obama a chance from day one. I've said this before a number of times on the program. A lot of the shit that Trump complains about that's happening to him, if you really look at it, you can easily find cases where he was doing that to somebody else before it happened to him. Same thing right now. He's saying, folks are saying you can't, suggest that Trump should be thrown in jail. He hasn't been found guilty of anything. He has to first be convicted in a court of law. He's definitely deserving due process. So anybody saying he should be locked up is wrong. But there was no issue like that when Trump himself was saying Hillary Clinton should be locked up. She hadn't had due process. She hasn't been found guilty in any court of law. Like I said, a lot of stuff he's complaining about, he had no problem doing that same stuff to other people. I do believe in karma. I'm not saying that what they're doing to Trump does not have political motives to it. I do believe some of that stuff that Trump is facing is politically based, but that doesn't mean it ain't true. I do believe that if he was a kind soul, so to speak, gentleman, like Obama, like George W. Bush, like Ronald Reagan, I don't think he would probably be facing half of those charges. But that doesn't mean he didn't do it. That just means they would have given him a pass and given him respect for the office. That's what I believe, is that because of how he acted, they got petty. Just like any police officer or judge would do to you or I. Got petty. And I mentioned this earlier in the broadcast as well. The judges that are over Trump's trials, they're going to get petty too. Because Trump is talking about them and treating them like shit. Calling them delusional and all these names. As I stated earlier, if you went to court, I don't care if it's a speeding case or it's a murder charge, if you're constantly insulting the judge, you think that judge is going to judge your case fairly? You think when your team is yelling objection, you think you're going to hear sustained because of how you're acting? Once again, this goes back to my statement to Trump supporters that you are entitled to First Amendment free speech rights, but they come with consequences. Criticizing the judge that's overseeing your case is a First Amendment free speech right, assuming you don't get held in contempt, but it certainly comes with a consequence. You can't just go around calling people who are highly respected individuals delusional and deranged, like he's talking about Jack Smith and all of these folks, and expect nothing to happen from that. You think Trump would treat somebody fairly if they were constantly insulting him and calling him names? You think he would totally ignore that? Going back to the box, we'll keep it moving with Catherine Burke. Good morning. Welcome to the program. Obama, the reason why Trump got elected, the racist white people were mad. Wow, hot sauce. I've heard that before. I hope it's not true, but I have certainly heard that before. Catherine, good morning.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing really good. Did you catch the Republican debate at all?
I did.
What you think? Who do you think won that?
Nikki Haley.
You know, I've heard you about the third or fourth person I've heard on this live say that Nikki Haley won it. What did she do that you favor compared to, say, Vivek Ramaswamy, which MAGA overwhelmingly thinks won?
He's very MAGA sycophant, but she is the only one that actually had policy.
Anything you favor?
I would prefer none of those candidates proceed.
Well, I will say
it wasn't hopeful. It wasn't hopeful for me. I mean, I tell everyone I was a Republican for 20 years. I've been a Democrat for 10 days. So
what made you leave after 20 years? What made you leave the Republican Party?
I left in 2016.
When Trump got elected?
Right before.
So you voted for Hillary?
I did.
Why?
Partially it was a woman. I thought it was very courageous for her, and I don't have a problem with a woman that backed up her man going for office. I think there was a lot of negative spin towards her because she was a woman. But I thought she was very smart and very capable for the position.
But if you're Republican, wouldn't Hillary Clinton go against right-wing principles that you normally would observe as a Republican?
I don't vote that way. I voted Bush, Obama, Hillary, Biden.
So let me ask you a few questions then. Pro-choice or pro-life?
Pro-choice. I'm a woman.
How do you feel? What about the Second Amendment? You believe in common sense gun laws or shall not be infringed?
Common sense, only because I feel like I'm a part of the NRA. But I think the NRA has changed over the last 20 years. NRA used to be about education, and it's not about that anymore. And now it's about commercialism. So they're more about funding gun sales, where before it used to be about education.
Any opinions on the LGBT community, specifically trans, in today's society?
For sure. I grew up, I'm coming from my perspective, obviously. So my parents owned restaurants, and I spent my entire career not wanting to be in restaurants. So I went to retail, and both industries are full of LGBTQ as a majority.
How do you feel about saying? So you've been a fan of same-sex marriage before it was legal. You were okay with that?
You know what? I'm not only okay with it, I don't care. As a human being, I believe that love is very hard to come by.
So let me ask you this: do you believe? Because a lot of folks believe that being gay is a choice. Do you believe you can be born gay?
100%.
You sound liberal. And the reason I asking you these questions is to see where you fall on the spectrum. You certainly sound like you should have voted for Hillary over Trump for certain. But I mean, even when it came to John Kerry or Al Gore,
Trump got her by the pussy. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, that's just not.
That's locker room talk.
No. If you and I were friends, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just gonna be honest with you. If you and I were friends, or if you were my dad, or if you were my brother, or if you were my friend, that would not be acceptable to me.
Yeah, I've had lots of locker room conversations, and I've never heard somebody say that.
And I don't think that someone that is in that position or up for that position is a good role model. And that is where I went independent.
But I gotta push back.
It wasn't even that, because that's not what prompted it. It took me a year to go independent.
But I gotta push back. But I gotta push back when you say that grab him by the pussy comment was the one that did you in. You started this conversation by saying you liked Hillary because she stood by her man, who also has been accused of doing stuff that's similar to that.
That's not her, though. She didn't do that.
But she stood by him.
You know what? I'm not going to fault her for it. That's her choice.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to see, because it sounds, I mean, there's some parallels to it. I mean, he obviously, Bill Clinton.
Would I vote for Clinton again? That's not what you asked.
Okay. But you're voting for somebody that stands.
But then again, like, Clinton is the last time we've been neutral freaking on the economy. Neutral. Like, that was the first time we didn't have a deficit.
But what about the notion that Hillary Clinton not only stood by her man, but she also partook in some of the criticism of Monica Lewinsky during that time?
How can you hold that against her? I mean, it's not something that she partook in.
It's a 21-year-old intern that is literally it's a power deficit. The man is taking advantage of it, so to speak, and the wife decides to attack the 21-year-old.
I don't know, man. It's rough.
Now, let me make it clear. I am truly a supporter of the Clintons. I'm just pointing it out because the way you talked about the grabber by the pussy, I'm saying there's parallels.
Lewinsky, am I blaming Hillary Clinton?
If she attacked Monica Lewinsky, she deserves some blame.
No. If I'm Monica Lewinsky, do I think that I'm blaming Hillary Clinton?
If Monica Lewinsky, if she gave in to the advances of Bill Clinton, and now all of a sudden his wife is going around saying bad things about Monica Lewinsky, she certainly has no reason to be a fan of Hillary Clinton.
She has zero reason to be a fan of Monica Lewinsky.
She has a reason to not. I'm saying Monica Lewinsky don't have a reason to be a fan of Hillary Clinton either. It ain't like Monica Lewinsky.
If I could bet, I think Monica Lewinsky probably voted for her fucking Hillary Clinton.
Well,
if I could bet.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, like I said, I'm a fan of the Clintons, but I'm just pointing out because Bill
I'm not a
Clinton,
fan. I'm not a fan of them. I'm not a fan by any means, but
I liked him.
I'm
I
just
liked
thinking
him.
about human behavior, and the whole thing about human behavior is that I'm super intuitive, and for Monica Lewinsky and Hillary Clinton, I think Hillary Clinton being a president, we wouldn't be in this position that we are today. We wouldn't be so divided. I think
Do you think that Hillary Clinton would have been a better president than Biden?
she would have. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I do too. I do too. I don't think we disagree on that one at all.
Yeah. I think she definitely would have been a better president than Trump. I think Trump was just not, he was kind of like a quack.
You gotta elaborate on that. Why do you say that?
I mean, this is the guy that was sitting there like ranting on news stations talking about Obama's birth certificate because his name was Obama. And it was
But was
too
he
close
being
to
a quack?
Bin
But
Laden.
was he being a quack, or was he deliberately trolling?
I mean, he's the ultimate troll,
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
it was so stupid. And then he's like trying to grab girls by their pussy, and then everyone just forgave it because it was locker room talk. And I honestly looked at every guy that I was like associated with, and I was like, if you ever said that, I would kill you. Like, I would murder you in your step.
So how do you respond though? In the comments, Matthew Scott, playing on your phrase of quack, states, I like the quack's economy. In other words, the economy Trump gave was better than Biden. And whatever you want to say about Trump,
What does that
$2
have to
gas
do
is
with it,
better
though?
than now.
You're talking about the first 2 years. The second 2 years, we were in a freaking pandemic. I mean, do you not remember 9/11?
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember 9/11. After 9/11, I voted for Bush too. It was the only vote I've ever
Wait. No, wait, hold on. When I say I like the quack's economy, he's talking about you can say what you want about Trump. You talking about 9/11 back in, we're not talking about during the Bush administration. We're
No, but
talking about,
I'm making a parallel between your post 9/11, we were in a crisis. Post
okay.
pandemic, we're in a crisis. Out of all of the countries, we're performing the best. It's still not great. And our Fed is actually effing every single American company, like every single American that's under the 1% right now. Like, I've never, ever paid credit card interest ever until the last year. And it's because they're pushing this interest up so hard.
So in regards to interest in the economy related issues, now
That's
users,
it's separate from us.
Okay, well let me ask you too this way. User 783 in the comments states that left-wing complainers, talking about folks like you and I, left-wing complainers would rather vote for a nursing home candidate in the name of social justice. How about the notion that folks suggest that Biden is just out of his mental faculties and Trump is a better candidate because he's alert?
Trump is 77.
Yeah.
Obama's 80. Should we have either of these candidates?
Wait.
Absolutely 0%. That's
you
what
said. You said Obama.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I love Obama.
Yeah, but he's not 80. So in other words, you're saying that even though there's a claim that Biden is out of his mind, Trump is no better.
He's 3 years younger. What's the difference?
Well,
what's the 3 years difference between you and I? Nothing.
But they're going to point to Biden stumbling on words, falling on stage, not knowing where he's at.
The same. Okay, here's my thing with that. They showed the same stuff to us with freaking Trump. Him falling down the stairs. I always thought it was a cheap shot.
Did Trump fall down some steps?
Yes, when he was coming out of that plane and he went down the jet bridge and he like fell down the whole thing. It was like super, and then he was leaning over and he was super fat and he was like they always try to put him in a bad light. I was like, it's a cheap shot. I don't buy into that. Like that's not gonna be the reason why I dislike Trump. Like if Trump, I'm gonna dislike Trump. I'm gonna dislike Trump because he's doing something wrong.
Give me some policies of President Trump. Now, you mentioned the grab him by the pussy, but that's obviously not a policy. What about Trump's policies or his direction for the country
Yeah, so
turns you
one
off?
of the things that Trump did was he gave free free use of our holding facilities for oil for the oil companies during the pandemic when oil wasn't selling because obviously people weren't moving.
And that right there turned you off to him? That's it?
Well, no, the result of that was that he expected that good grace was going to come to fruition with us having lower gas prices. It did not because he didn't put it into stone in advance of giving them free rent to
I've never
hold
heard of
their
this.
stuff. Huh?
I've never heard of this.
Oh, it's a thing.
Okay, all right. So let me ask you this then, with the way you view Trump, if by chance, I mean it's a difficult journey, but if by chance Trump was reelected in 2024, how do you think America would be?
I think we'd be a super divided country and it would get worse.
I mean, we're pretty divided now,
He's
though, right?
No, but he's really passionate about us being divided.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that, and I've had a conversation with a lot of MAGA on the page on many lives, and they've even stated that not only is he divisive, but they hope he leads from a divisive measure so that he can stick it to the liberals. I think
But
most Trump supporters want him to be vengeful if he's reelected. They want that.
I haven't had cable since 2015. So anyone that's saying that I watch CNN in your comments is hilarious.
You can watch that on YouTube, though. You can watch quite a bit of CNN on YouTube.
Okay, so but like
I get your
just
point, though. I get
saying,
your
like
point. You're not
anyone
watching.
that's over the age of like under the age of 40 has not participated in the economy of cable news stations. Just
Fair
saying.
enough. Well, you could be, they talk about CNN, but in reality, if you really are leaning left, you're gonna be watching stuff like the Young Turks and things like that. There are there are programs on the internet that are far because CNN, in my humble opinion, CNN was fairly moderate until Trump came along. I seen MSNBC is left, Fox News is right. CNN was kind of in the middle, maybe a little leaning left, but when Trump came along and just started insulting the hell out of them, they moved further to the left. I think that Trump provoked folks to dislike him because of how bad he was treating them.
I think there was some type of situation where within the last 20 years the duty for news to be accountable for itself
Yeah.
and fact check itself went away
Well, obviously, with
because
the
they're all
Dominion
now
voting machines at
classified
Fox,
as
that pretty
entertainment
much
stations.
is
They're
yeah.
all
With the Dominion
classified
voting
now as
machine,
entertainment stations in order
yeah,
to dodge any lawsuits that come about.
it's all about the ratings. All right, Catherine, I do got to move it on. Appreciate. It's our first time talking.
Yeah, it is.
Certainly a pleasure having you on. I generally am on Monday through Friday during the afternoon, but I wanted to get on here after the Republican debate. But yeah, anytime you see me on, certainly welcome back. Come on back through anytime.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. You too. All right.
Get in the comments. Clint, not all liberals are bad. Yeah, not all liberals are bad. Not all Republicans are bad either, by the way. Mainstream media are race baiters, says Matthew Scott. You think the right is not race baiters as well? You think it's only the mainstream media, huh? You see a smash and grab at a Walgreens or a CVS on Fox News. It's on every single segment. It repeated over and over again all throughout the day. Both sides, race bait. If a cop mistreats an African American, CNN will play that shit all day long. If an African American injures a cop, Fox News will play that shit all day long. Both sides pick and choose issues and race bait. You're not going to escape that by leaving the liberals and going on the right. You just get it from the other side. I mean, that's just the way it is. Like, for instance, what happened with the, what do they call it, the Montgomery Riverfront Brawl or whatever? The left showed that shit all day long because it was an African American being beaten, and they came and rescued the guy. And Fox News played it, but very, very little. If it was reversed and there was a white guy getting beat up by a bunch of blacks, Fox News would have been playing it like crazy. You're not going to escape race baiting by going on either side of the aisle. They just play it differently. I mean, they're going to defend cops on Fox, and they're going to point out bad cops on CNN. It's just the way it is. Looking in the comments, Vivek would wipe the floor with Joe Biden. Never fold. Then why not send Vivek? Now, I don't necessarily totally agree with that, but I will tell you this. I do believe Vivek Ramaswamy would have a better chance at winning against Joe Biden and Trump. He doesn't have the enemies that Trump has. He doesn't have the court cases that Trump has. He doesn't have the indictments. He doesn't have all of the baggage that Trump has. For instance, there are folks who are on that stage tonight that refuse to raise their hand and state that if Trump was the Republican nominee, they would even support him. They all would get behind Vivek. Vivek doesn't have anywhere near the Republican, not liberal, the Republican enemies that Trump has. If you believe Vivek Ramaswamy would wipe the floor with Biden, that's who you should send up. And I'm saying that as a liberal. I'll say this over and over again till I'm damn black in the face because I'm too dark to turn blue. That with Biden's poll numbers being in the shitter the way they are, even the liberals are not huge fans of President Biden. A lot of Biden's votes are coming because folks hate Trump just that much. If the Republicans were smart, they would seize on the opportunity that the Democrats are sending up a weak candidate and pick somebody who is moderate that had a better chance of winning. But instead, the Republicans have chosen to put Trump up and make it a choice between the lesser of two evils. In a time where Biden's poll numbers are weak, Trump is literally the worst candidate you could send up. You have an opportunity that you could seize on. While they have a weak candidate, put somebody up that doesn't have all of this baggage around them. But instead, you send Trump up that has more baggage than Biden. That's a bad decision. And I'm telling you that as a liberal. That's a bad decision. If you really believe that Vivek Ramaswamy would wipe the floor with Trump, he is the guy you should put up. Because Trump is not guaranteed to wipe the floor even with the courts. He may not even make it to Biden. Why would you put that guy up? You're calling up the worst person from the bench to go against this guy. I mean, it's like you got the worst pitcher on the opposing team and you decide to send a blind guy up to the plate. Why would you send this guy up? I really think you guys are making a mistake. But I understand there's a hell of a lot of love for Trump. I enjoy talking to my MAGA followers. You guys are some of the most lively folks to speak to. I will always give you a chance to speak. But I do believe that you should put up the person that gives you the closest policies to Trump without it actually being Trump. Vivek Ramaswamy would be your guy. Looking in the comments, I like Swami, but we just can't let the left knock Trump up. Chris, that comment you just made, I love Vivek Ramaswamy, but we can't let the left knock Trump out. Remember what we told Democrats in the 2020 election? Don't vote based on emotion. Vote based on what you can get done. If you're only supporting Trump because you don't want to let the liberals win, Isn't that voting based on emotion? If you really feel like you can get at least 90% of the policies you want out of Vivek Ramaswamy, but you're going to send Trump up because you don't want to let the liberals win, how is that not voting based on emotion? That sounds exactly like what folks on the right criticize the liberals for doing. You're not voting to win, you're voting on emotions. And unfortunately, it could cost you the whole election. Looking in the box will keep it moving. I really think that's a bad idea. And like I said, I'm a liberal telling you that. I think it's a bad idea to vote simply because you want to take revenge on the liberals as opposed to getting the $2 gas, the good economy, the projection of strength worldwide, protecting the sanctity of life, defending the Second Amendment. That's what you should be voting on. And this is what I said earlier in the live stream, that folks on the right have switched away from voting on Republican and conservative principles to simply following and defending Trump. Could be a bad outcome. Just understand that. The outcome could be bad because of that choice you're making. We'll keep it moving, though. I don't know what I hit on there. Miles Morales.
Pay for the hell they cost Trump. Does it have to? Does the hell? Hang on a second, Morales. If you believe the liberals need to pay for the hell they cost Trump, does the hell have to be delivered by Trump himself? What if Vivek Ramaswamy would do or deliver the hell you believe needs to be bestowed upon the liberals? Does it have to come by Trump? Maybe Trump is not in position to deliver it, whereas you might do better with Vivek Ramaswamy. Miles Morales, good morning.
Hey, how are you today?
I'm doing real good. Good to have you on. Did you catch the Republican national debate?
I did not. I wanted to, but I was doing some other stuff, going through lives on here just to hear what's going on and what people are saying. So I'm trying to get news on both, like they say, on both sides. But anyway.
Well, did you hear my spiel in regards to Biden being a weak candidate and Republicans choosing probably their weakest candidate to make it a choice between the lesser of two evils when they could put up a more moderate and perhaps do Biden in?
I think so too. I agree with you 100% because the problem is what they're gonna do is they're gonna shoot themselves in the foot. When you say, how can I say this? When you say, what's that color? They'll say Trump. They'll say, how deep is that water? They'll say Trump. You say, look, what's that? You're looking at the ceiling. There's birds flying through there. What is that? Trump. That's it. That's all they think about.
Are you suggesting that we're dealing with a cult?
Yes, 155% plus 45, so 200%. But it's just crazy. I wanted to say one thing to make you laugh too is, remember when we were kids and we would go to school and they'd give you a comb or whatever to help fix your hair?
Yeah.
I was thinking that Trump better bring his little comb with him to make sure he takes a good fix for school. Get that comb over good. You know what I'm saying? Remember they used to give us those little.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I actually do.
What was the name of the comb? I forget. Woogby or?
Oh shit.
Well, it had a weird name. It always said the same thing on every comb. But yeah, I was thinking he better bring his, man, so he get some good school pictures.
Wow. But at the end of the day, even with so many indictments, do you think there's a chance that he actually will be incarcerated?
I hate this. I don't want this to come out of my mouth because I hate the idea. If he even he ain't going to jail. I don't think he's going to go to jail. I think that they're going to do some stupid thing.
Well, let me interrupt you.
Arrest and he gets to golf every day. I mean, what kind of jail is that?
You and I agree that he's not likely to do any time. But what about his cohorts, like in Fulton County, where they got 18 other people? Do you think all of them going to escape jail time too?
No, they're going to be.
No, I don't either. Yep.
And see, when things like that happen, that makes me, they're like, nobody's above the law. Yes, somebody is above the law. Because if he doesn't see jail, he should be behind bars. If he is not behind bars, then he's above the law. And my 91 count indictments, 91. And this guy isn't going to go behind bars. Me and you do one and we're in trouble.
Yeah. We would be in trouble for calling the judge delusional. Just the
Yep.
stuff he's done, you'd be in jail. You'd be on contempt charges right now.
You know what?
Just for that stuff.
You know, this is another thing. Charlie Manson went to prison for life for this, almost the same thing that Trump has done. Trump fired up his people. They went and
Yeah, he didn't
Capitol.
actually,
People
he didn't
got
actually
killed.
do it. He inspired it.
Yep, he did. You know, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It kind of it aggravates me to think about he could go through all that and be okay. So my thing is, if he doesn't go, they're going to probably give him something. He's probably going to get busted for something, and it's going to be like house arrest, or you know, something to where he's able to golf on his golf course, not run for president, or something stupid like that. But I will tell you, you know what? You are 100% right about that. About them taking a lesser person to win, they would have a better chance.
Yeah, I would rather have, you know, if I'm trying to reach 100% success, I would rather end up with 80% than 0. Let's say Vivek Ramaswamy was willing to give you 80% of what you wanted from Trump. That's better than losing by far. So, yeah, I absolutely believe that while we have a weak candidate who really, Biden is really surfing off of a hell of a lot of I hate Trump votes. If they put up a more moderate candidate, Biden could not count on getting those same votes. Because I've said this before when folks ask, well, do you think Biden got more votes than Obama and all of this shit? I say, no, I don't believe Biden got more votes than Obama. I believe Biden benefited off the I hate Trump votes. If the ballots were correct, you'd have a spot on there for Biden, you'd have a spot on there for Trump, and you'd have a spot on there that suggests that I don't like Biden, but I really hate Trump. And if folks were able to check that box, they would have millions of votes. But because there is no box that says I don't like Biden, but I really hate Trump, Biden gets those votes by default. But there is a I don't like Biden, but I really hate Trump vote out there that's worth millions of votes.
Yep. The problem with the only thing with
the
only thing with Biden, what I'm afraid of is, you know, he's getting older, so a lot of the people are probably getting second thoughts. But the thing with me is I still couldn't. I mean, you could put a dirty diaper there, and I'd vote for that over Trump. That's just me, though. You know, I couldn't vote.
You're voting. You are that box. You are that box. I don't like Biden, but I really hate Trump.
Yeah.
You represent that box and you vote for a dirty diaper.
Yeah, that's right. I would. Makes more sense, right?
Yeah. So,
but
well, like I said, there are millions of people voting that way. Trump is a very controversial, if not divisive, person that has a huge amount of unfavorability out there. So there's a lot of people like that, and that's what helps Biden is that people are not voting for Biden, they're voting against Trump.
Yep. That's the only another good thing.
All right, well, I'm moving on, man. I think my connection is breaking up here, so I'll give you the last word, though, man.
I'll say this real quick. I don't know if you'll be able to hear me, but I like Biden, but I think what really put Biden in office was the fact that they figured we're going to get the same thing that we got from Obama. And I think that's what helped out Biden a lot too.
Well, we know that's not true now after 3 years. We know that no longer is true.
Yeah, but when we went to vote, we did. Right?
True.
I'm like.
I agree with that. I do believe that. Yeah, I agree with that.
So, I think Obama made him shine.
All right, bro.
All right, man. Well, I'll let you go. Thanks for having me come up. I really appreciate it. I watch you live all the time. So, anyway, I'll let you go and you take care.
Good talk.
Yep, good talk.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Mm-hmm. All right. Unfortunately, it does look like I'm having some issues with my connection. So I do appreciate folks tuning in. Still got 300 plus of you in here. Appreciate 75,000 likes. I didn't promote you guys to tap the screen as much as I normally sweat, but I am not hating on
75,000 at 1 in the morning. But I do know I'm freezing bad, so I'm gonna go ahead and terminate the live, get myself in bed. I gotta work just like the rest of you folks do. I appreciate you also watching on YouTube. By the way, folks, if you enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without any issue with being blocked, banned, or censored, follow program. We do this Monday through Friday. I appreciate you follow the program. I see somebody said put a tinfoil antenna. Yeah, I don't know. The signal is starting to break up, but yeah, follow the program. If this is what you like, civilized dialogue, both sides of the aisle, without fear of being blocked, banned, or censored. This is what we indeed do. Program is always will remain MAGA friendly in its entirety. We'll keep it moving. Good mornings, actually morning, and I will catch you guys on the other side. Take care. 10, the handsome liberal. I am out. And I appreciate you folks on YouTube. My TikTok feed was really fucking up, so I got to actually restart the whole damn device. It was doing so bad. Appreciate you.